Welcome back to the WMMA Today podcast with Drake Riggs and I, Steve King. This is a kind of a holiday-ish for some, for me. Indigenous Peoples Day. It's the first one for that is federally regulated. Our President Biden just made it a holiday. Just the other day, last week, I think on the 8th or something like that. Um, I'm indigenous, so as you can see on my hat, wearing the teepee and shit. So yeah, it's a big it's nice to be recognized for once, because usually the United States doesn't recognize Native Americans for anything really. So it's nice. It's nice. It's a holiday. I took the day off. I'm fucking here, hanging out. All right.
Attaboy.
All right. So we have a lineup as usual. The UFC Vegas 39 recap, mailbag, I think, with one from
Yep.
Mr.
We got mail.
Stamina. His first one, I believe. Some news, some good news. Title fight. What the hell? I was not expecting it. Loved to see it though. And then Bellator 268 preview, and then the UFC Vegas 40 preview, which is on Saturday. Yeah, man. So UFC Vegas 39 was pretty good for a card that people were shitting on. Turns out that way most of the time, doesn't it, Drake? People are like, "Hey, this card sucks on paper and shit," but fucking there were a lot of finishes, Drake. What?
That's how it goes. That's how
Yeah,
it goes every time, right? And
right? Typically.
I'll tell you, man, I typically don't feel this way about like morning cards, but I think 11 a.m. is like perfect timing. I thought
Dude,
that was
okay,
fantastic
so
for a
let me
9-fight
tell
card.
you, let me tell you, Drake. I was drinking beer at 11 a.m.
Perfect time to start.
Right. So by the time that Mackenzie, Durn, and Marina Rodriguez were on, I was kind of drunk, to
Your
be
boy was a
honest.
little lit.
I was. It was fun though. It was good. It was good to see, early fights. I don't like it typically. I'm kind of the night watcher guy. But I mean, that's just what I'm accustomed to, being out here on the West Coast. As you know, Drake, you're the same.
Yep.
We typically. Eh, okay, so right off the bat, hello guys. I see you guys saying the card did suck. James, come on, it didn't suck. There were a shit ton of finishes. Like 5 or 6 out of 9 were finishes. How does that suck? Just
We
because
got a
it's
lot of blood.
yeah, the mat was covered in blood, right? It was wonderful. It sucked because stamina. Love you. I'm I'm I am a day drinker. I'm a night drinker. I'm an it doesn't matter drinker. But to
You're
be
the
honest,
best kind.
I smoke weed too. So there's that. I think I had a blunt rolled. I think fairly
Can't
early.
even remember.
Fairly early for me. Fairly early. I don't get up and blaze right away like I used to. Kind of like to have my coffee and hang out. On days off, and hang out and shit, and then start drinking or start smoking. And I fucking woke up and I was like, dude, there's fights on. Let me roll this blunt really quick. Holy shit, I got Modelo in the refrigerator. Let me drink a Modelo really quick.
You're so 209, Steve. I love it. So, all right. With all that in mind, I love seeing Happy Steven 5 minutes into the show without even starting officially yet. So, you guys, if you're here and watching via my Twitter today, live on YouTube still as always. Now we're on Anchor, not live, Spotify, not live. Yeah, all the platforms. Google Podcasts, still setting up some of the other ones, but we're getting all around now. So if you're here for the first time, thank you so much for tuning in.
We're a bunch
Like,
of
share,
whores.
subscribe. Yeah, do all those things. Help us out. Hit that notification bell. whatever it may be, wherever you are. Appreciate you greatly. But don't forget, support your homies here who are here every single Monday or a different day if we're busy. Either way, every week, episode 71 right now. And this is only of our scrap stretch. We've been going for quite a while, Steve. So with that in mind, you mentioned UFC Vegas 39 did happen. We have fights to recap. We do have fights to
Of course, there's
talk
fights to recap.
about. There's always fights to recap. And we'll start off with, this was the second fight of the night, first fight of the night. Either way, my goodness, Loopy looked pretty good out there.
Yeah, she did. Lupita Gureñez beat Silvana Gomez Juarez by submission, rear naked choke. Wasn't really expecting her to get the quick finish. We expected her to get a finish though, right, Drake?
No, I didn't. I mean, this was a fight that we didn't preview last week because it was supposed to be Sam Hughes, the Sam Hughes trilogy, because they did fight twice as amateurs, which is funny. Kind of forgot about that last week, but we broke that down, so we didn't actually, break down this fight, Steve, because Silvana Gomez was supposed to be fighting tonight or tomorrow night. I'm all over the fucking place, but she was supposed to be on Contender Series. Silvana, somebody been high on for a good bit now. I think she should have been signed to the UFC sooner. If you remember, Steve, she had that title shot against Lipsky in her prime in KSW, came up short, but put on a good fight. And in this one, it just did not go her way whatsoever. This was absolute domination from Loopy. I mean, there was a very nice one solid shot, right hand from Silvana off the break from the first takedown. But after that, got taken down again. Loopy did her thing, found the armbar. Very good stuff there. Yeah, I mean, we knew she was, but I thought this fight would be harder than the Sam Hughes fight, after the change happened, but that was not the case, and just a rough change for Silvana. But hey, in the UFC now, maybe she'll go back up to flyweight. She had fought at strawweight before this, but most of her career has been flyweight. As I mentioned, that Lipsky title fight was for the flyweight crown in KSW a couple of years back. So I'm glad to see her here. Like I said, think she should have been here in the first place. But this performance really did her a disservice to the people who saw her for the first time, because they're going to think that she's shit now, but she is definitely not. She is very talented, but Loopy was not playing around. So fantastic stuff from her.
No, she's kind of a gangster, man. Lupita is. She puts on hell of a good fight every time out. She's entertaining, man. She's entertaining in the cage when she's fighting, when she's talking. She's very outgoing and sweet and stuff, but she's a mean ass bitch when she's fighting though. Love that girl.
Yep. Very excited to see what is next for her. And my, oh my, our friends in the chat are very salty. Not salty, but a little on the negative side. So you guys were not having it with this card.
Yeah, they don't like it. They didn't like it, which is fine. Bunch of finishes, and I agree. I saw somebody, who did I see, say just because there aren't finishes doesn't mean that it's not a good card. It's a good card. Well,
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean,
it wasn't the best by any means, but it was better than we thought it would be.
I mean, exactly. And people weren't hyped about Rodriguez and Durn being a main event, and
they always are with the women, Steve. You know how it goes.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, most people.
But it was a good card. I mean, it was an early card for us, Drake, for you and I, because we're West Coast boys. But the European fan base, they actually got to see it at a decent time. I mean, what more do you want? Honestly, what do you want? Wilder and Fury every fight? It's just not going to happen.
So spoiled, I tell you. So gosh darn spoiled.
They are. They really are. Especially with the pay-per-views that we've been getting lately. The pay-per-views have been.
Oh, and the ones coming up, my goodness.
Yeah, they're stacking them, and they keep stacking them. Drake.
Yes, they are. It's looking quite good. Chuck is here. He says Gomez Juarez had Yasmin Waruglai in her corner. Haragi. All right. In her corner, someone UFC matchmakers likely have an eye on. Yeah, very possible.
Yeah, could be.
Like I said, Silvana will be back, and then maybe we'll see Yasmin soon as well. Jin is here. He asks, "How does Loopy do against Frey?" I imagine she would do pretty good. Of course, Jin has finally got some momentum going. She's got a winning streak, but you look at, I think the people she beat, Loopy would beat too. So I think that would be a tough one for her. Loopy still getting exposed to a lot of people, but for those who have followed her for a while, she is typically this good that we saw her against Silvana. And, we kind of see more of her boxing often. I don't remember a fight where she really was that aggressive with the grappling, Steven. Smart move because Silvana is a very good striker herself and would have fed her some healthy leg kicks, some inside leg kicks, as our man Ghost likes to see. But, very smart approach from her, especially on short notice like this. So worked out. Fry fight, not quite what I would make, but I wouldn't be fucking surprised if they made that because I love putting the veterans against the up and comers. So we'll probably see that, Jen. Good call there. I mean, not a good call, but you're thinking smart.
Yeah. Okay.
And Jimmy says after seeing Loopy against Penne, this was expected. Joseph is here. He says, Steve, do you have goosebumps thinking about Joanna versus Rodriguez? We'll get there, Joseph. Hold off on that, Steve. Hold off. I mean, we've addressed that before.
Right. But yeah.
We've addressed that before. We're excited for.
Yeah.
I mean, we've been wanting that for a while now. So, but yeah, that was Juarez versus Loopy. So after that, this one, I'm sure Steve does not want to talk about, but my, oh my, what a performance that it was.
Yeah, I mean, so Marina Agapova beat Sabina Mazo, third round submission. It was another rear naked choke. This was all Agapova. My girl Sabina Mazo didn't have anything for Agapova, like at all. This was not Sabina Mazo like what I was expecting. I'm high on her though, and I mean, am I wrong? Like, it's like it's to be a fan of Sabina Mazo is kind of
it's been tough.
it's tough, man. It's tough on the heart. Like I was watching that fight and I was like, just let him go. Kick her in the fucking head, man. Like I get it. Agapova is big and long as well. Like she's pretty much just as long as Mazo, right? But
still a little bit
yeah,
less,
just a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
But I mean, Mazo has those long ass legs that she can use to kick her off of her, to keep her the fuck away. And there was none of that. The clinching, there was no clinch work for Mazo at all. The Muay Thai wasn't there. This was all Agapova. Everything was about Agapova in this fight.
Yeah, this was very unexpected. Very brilliant performance from her, Steve. We both picked Sabina last week, and I think that was the logical choice considering what we've seen from Agapova in the past. She starts off very strong, and if she hasn't, she's always gotten the finish typically, but against obviously Dobson, she didn't, and then faded completely. Expected that to be the case again here if it was to go that way, because we hadn't seen any evidence of anything else since then. But she changed camps, went to MMA Masters. Now she looks absolutely reinvented. What I did like from Sabina was that she didn't start very slow. I thought she came out right away and she was really pressuring most of this fight, but just wasn't very successful with it.
She wasn't letting her strikes go.
Right.
Like it was like she was holding back.
Yeah, it was very odd too for that, like I said, the pressure she was putting on.
It was just an off fight for her, and I mean that's kind of disheartening.
Yeah, and it was just a good performance from Agapova though, who was very
absolutely
more patient than normal. She's very notoriously aggressive in the past couple of fights, but really picked her shots in this one, and it paid off huge. Didn't tire out. Finished Sabina right under a minute there in the third round. Pretty much a knockout and a submission all in one sequence. pretty ridiculous. Sabina tapped pretty much instantly. She was done from the punch, really. But yeah, this was very impressive from Agapova. I mean, we knew she had potential to be, a player, Steve, but
Yeah.
just didn't expect it to come like this against this kind of matchup with Sabina. So
Yeah,
it
so I was
was.
thinking about like right after this was over, the fight was over. I was like, all right, so I don't know what to do with Mazo after this, but Agapova, put her in there against Lipski.
Ooh, oh my. Yeah, you're speaking my language. That would be something.
Yeah,
Um,
you think that's a good one?
I mean, I think that's a great fight. That's a tough one for either to lose after just rebounding.
Yeah,
But holy shit, that'd be
but
fun.
they fuck it.
Yeah.
They need.
Well, I mean, Steve, the fight to make is obviously the Morose fight. That's the one. You got that beef there.
I don't know if they're going to, man. Like I know. Obviously, Agapova wants that fight bad. She wants that fight really fucking bad against Moros. But does Moros want that fight?
She responded today, but yeah, I don't know. I would at a point I would have said that Marina should be fighting up because she's on a good streak right now at in the division. But she hasn't fought in a while, and she's had so many cancellations that like kind of don't really, you got to reinsert yourself into the mix now. So why not with somebody who really wants to fight you? I think there's no problem with that. But
There's some heat.
since there's all that to it, it probably won't happen, Steve. So you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah. I honestly don't think it'll happen. When do we ever see, other than I guess with Masvidal and Leon Edwards now? But when do we ever
Took a
see?
while.
Yeah, it took a hell of a long time. When do we ever see? And that's still in December. That's months away. And anything can happen. It's MMA. But when do we ever see like a real bitterness come from women, and then something come to fruition with it? Like we don't see it that often, really. You know?
Yeah. I know. I'm trying to think. Like,
Right.
obviously,
I
the
don't.
biggest one is what, Ronda and Cyborg. That's like
Yeah,
the
but that
biggest
was so
example.
long ago. That was a long time ago, man.
Yeah, there was a lot of complications to that, but yeah, I don't know. That's a good point. It's rare that we kind of get that much heat too. So, obviously, if you haven't seen, Marina Morose made some very damning and disturbing claims about Agapova and her departure from the gym, ATT, that is, a while back.
Yeah.
If you search, I think both of their names, it probably should come up. I wrote an article for that on bjpen.com, so you can go search on there if you would like. But either way, I think that'd be fun. But like you said, we'll see. We will see. So, what do we got here?
It would be nice to see that fight. I just don't know if it will actually happen, Drake.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there. Mr. Lee is here. He says, sorry, I didn't like this card either. Didn't like the Durn Rodriguez fight. Sorry, I need to be more like Alvin. Wow,
Oh,
Mr. Lee,
man.
that is incredible.
You
We'll
guys
get
are
to
just
that.
being really,
Really spoiled.
yeah. What the hell?
Ghost says Maza was doing well kicking the trailing leg when Agapova was on the fence, but she went away from it. That is true. She was landing nice with the kick.
She
But
was.
that's really what I can remember most from her success.
That's like it.
Yeah.
That's like it. I mean, that's terrible. That's all it really was, you know?
Yeah. Ghost also saying, and Mazo did land on the closed side to the head, which isn't ideal. I don't remember her head kick landing too clean, though. I know she threw it, obviously, but I don't remember it being anything too significant in there.
I think it's kind of like slapped Agapova a little bit, but it didn't like rock her like how it would other fighters. But again, Agapova's tough as fuck. So, maybe Mazo threw it and it hit her and she thought it would be more, and Agapova was like, "No, that didn't do shit." You know?
She's a gangster, man. He said Loopy's a gangster. Agapova's a freaking gangster too.
Yeah.
Joseph says Mazo has no fight IQ. Agapova had to be 145 in the cage. You need to step up in fighting. Okay, so
Agapova.
Joseph, I enjoy Joseph's, general ridiculousness week to week, but like, I don't know where some of his claims come from. These are very, very random
Saying that she
sometimes.
has no fight IQ, but because
Well,
I do.
not that, more the 145 and then needing a step up and fighting.
She wasn't obviously she was at 145, but I mean that's a stretch. Obviously, that's a stretch. But I get what he's saying because it did look like Agapova was quite beefy in there.
I didn't think it was too outrageous.
But
Or
again,
anything, but...
Sabina Mazo is like lengthy and tall, so it kind of made Agapova look like she was a lot bigger than Mazo, even though they're like the same size.
Yeah, no, they're pretty solid frames for 125, I would say. James says this was a Shevchenko Valentina like performance. If Valentina was bad, my goodness, you guys.
What's going on?
Counter striking and waiting. Wow. Jin says don't like Agapova. Mazo should have come with a better strategy. Yeah, I mean, I suppose so.
Yeah, I mean that's fine. That's fair. That's a fair criticism, I guess. A better strategy. I agree with a better strategy.
I mean, it did not work.
Right. That's why I agree with it.
Yeah. So, my goodness, lots of things rolling in here. Rain is getting off track. We'll save that for later. I knew it was going to come. Joseph thinks that Mazo should go back to 135. I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I mean, let's see how she does in the next fight. Like for this one in particular, I don't think there was anything wrong. Like you can't blame the weight on the performance. Agapova just looked very solid, and then Mazo tried to change things up by being as pressure heavy as she was, which she typically isn't. So that was different for her. But we'll see. Scott is here. Good to see you, Scott. Thanks for tuning in, man. He says the UFC can't make Agapova versus Moroz soon enough. I'm down to watch that fight. Week drama. Yeah, that would be pretty intense.
Big drama show.
Big drama show.
Agree, Scott.
Stamina says Moroz has had difficulty making it to the dance in recent times. It's the issue. Yep, very true. Go says it would have been better if she landed to the open side for a cleaner kick. Yes, that's for sure. Oh God.
Rain is raining it down.
I know. I've already seen this. Joseph says, call USADA Agapova. Okay. All right, Joseph. All right. He's taking over for Yusuf, like, let's slow the reins on this.
I guess
this is a hot start to the show, Steve. You guys are all over the place today. We're only 23 minutes in. My God. All right. Anyway, that was Agapova versus Mazo. Let's move on to the main event. God damn it! Wow.
Yeah.
What a start.
So, Marina Rodriguez beat Mackenzie Durn by decision. It was very unanimous, I guess.
Yes. Yeah.
There were a lot of strikes from Mackenzie Durn in this fight, man. Like she was doing all right, and then all of a sudden, I think it was the third round where she went back to flailing her arms around again, and I was like, oh my God, Marina is going to fuck her up, but it never happened.
There was really scary moments there.
I was really hoping. I was like, oh God, Mackenzie's gonna get knocked the fuck out right now. Marina never did it, which is too bad. Not that I want to see Mackenzie get knocked out like that, but it would teach her a lesson not to fucking throw those wild ass punches.
Yeah. Definitely. And I'm very kind of surprised by these numbers because I feel like there's no way Durn landed 80. I mean, most of those had to be on the ground, right? I mean, let's look at round 2 here. Yeah, 33 of those were in round 2. That makes a lot of sense. And then round 4, which was the other one that she got a very brief takedown, 39 seconds, as you can see there, maybe a little bit more, just that they didn't count the time. I feel like it was like right under the minute mark, right at the end there of that 4th round. But yeah, this was for the most part the Marina Rodriguez show, Steve, and not really surprised. This fight went about as expected as you should have expected to. And I mean, I really enjoyed it from the standpoint that we knew and we know how absolutely dangerous that Mackenzie Durn is on the ground. So every single time that she got close without being hurt, I was like, oh boy, you tighten up. You're like, oh shit, is she gonna figure out how to get her down? Because the times that she actually did, which they didn't even count a takedown for her in round 2, because that was kind of like, again, they just kind of fell because Mackenzie doesn't know how to do a takedown. What was that?
So upsetting. It's so upsetting, Drake. Like, how do you not know how to just take a single leg? Take a single leg, man. It's upsetting. It's honestly like, what the fuck? What are you training for? Like, you need to go to a wrestling gym. You got it. Once you're on the ground, dude, you're the best. You're the best female grappler in MMA right now.
Yeah.
But you have to get the fight to that point. And we're going to keep saying this, Drake, until she learns how. And I don't know if it's just she's never going to get it. She's never going to get there. That's how I feel coming out of this fight. She lost that fight. She lost this fight because she couldn't get the takedown.
Yeah, essentially. Because I mean, she had nothing to offer on the feet. She was not really threatening at all. Marina, as expected.
But she was hanging in there, and like
she didn't get finished.
You can say whatever you want about Mackenzie Durn. She's tough. She's a tough ass girl, man. Like, she's there for the beating.
Yeah, that's for sure. But yeah. So that was still the story, Steve. And I mean, it all went kind of back as expected, right? I mean, we, like I said, didn't see the improvements with any forms of, proper takedowns. What there was that attempt in the first or the second round, whenever she went for kind of a single, and then Marina caught her other arm and had her like in a standing crucifix. You remember that sequence there?
Yeah. And that right there literally tells you that Mackenzie Durn can't get even a single leg takedown. Cannot. Because, dude, you can't go for the single leg and get fucking crucifixed. Like, you can't. In this high of level MMA, that shit doesn't happen. She needs to go to a wrestling coach somewhere. I don't know who. I don't know where. I don't know even if it's even like crossed her mind. I guess she thinks that the striking coach, Jason Perillo, is enough. It's not. The striking coach is not enough. Fuck the striking coach at this point. Fuck that. Go for a fucking wrestling coach. Go to Cejudo. Fuck it. Go to Cejudo, man.
Hey, there you go.
Who else?
Well, she lived. She was in Arizona. I don't know if she still lives there.
Who's going to Cejudo? Whaley, right? And now Figueredo, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, that's a camp, bro.
All team violence. Pitbull.
Dude, that's a camp. Go to Cejudo. Let him teach you. Cejudo is literally one of the best wrestlers in MMA. Let that motherfucker teach you. It seems like that's what he wants to do anyway. He doesn't want to fight. So let that motherfucker teach you how to get a takedown.
I think that this performance or this fight will be good in the long run for Mackenzie, because I feel like 5 rounds of that and needing to do that, and even her corner telling her that she needs to get to the ground as the fight went on, right? That she should learn, right? We assume, and we've kind of said that, and I said that before this fight even, Steve, right? That like I don't believe in her ability to get better until she suffers a loss like this, where it doesn't work out, because it didn't. And we have to give serious props to Marina, because my goodness, we already knew she was an elite level striker, one of the very best, right? But the fact that she was able to survive that second round, which horrifying situation to be in under Durn the way that she was, and not get submitted, and even throw up an anaconda Darsa type choke of her own, Steve. And that was looking pretty tight there for a second. I was thinking, holy shit, if Marina submits Mackenzie Durn,
That'd be wild.
I'm about to lose my mind. And
Yeah,
I didn't fully believe it, just because of the
Yeah.
jiu-jitsu practitioner she is, but just seeing her kind of squirm, I was like, I wonder how tight that is getting, because she has really got that on, actually. So that was the most impressive part for me.
I think it looked tighter than what it was.
Yeah, it very well could have, but just crazy that Marina has improved her defense enough on the ground to survive those situations when literally no one else, aside from Verna, who is also that level, has been able to survive. So that's a very scary thought for anyone going forward trying to submit Marina. Maybe can get her down, but as we've seen, she's continually improving her defense on the ground, as was the case in the Hebus fight, as was the case in this one.
She's a striker, man. But like you're saying, she has really worked on her ground game. Obviously, Mackenzie, what round was it? The second round? Mackenzie should have finished that fight in the second round.
Yeah,
right?
she got her in a crucifix kind of her own there, and almost kind of had an armbar with her legs.
Yeah.
Was kind of crazy to see, but yeah, that was the second round.
I think it was round 2.
So yeah. Well, yeah, because it only went to the ground in round 2.
At one time.
You can see all of it, and then round 4 at the very end.
Right. Yeah.
So crazy stuff. But Marina Rodriguez.
Good fight, though.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it, and the boys are spoiled, very spoiled today. Rue says it's very telling that Durn was kicked out of. Oh, that is not the one I wanted to read, because we don't know. I don't think we know the full story to that, Rue, but she is no longer at the Fight Lab. So Ghost says the funniest thing is that Rodriguez tries to cross counter, but because of how off balance Durn was, the counter was never there. That is funny. A funny point to make. And it was also interesting. Ghost pointed this out to me, I think, when we were talking in DMs, but like throughout the fight, Marina was kicking a lot, which she generally does. But at the beginning of the fight in round 1, I was like, oh man, she's going to gamble with that. I don't believe necessarily in Durn's ability to grab that and get the takedown, but it leaves an opening, and she never did. Not once.
Because she doesn't have
it once.
They were talking about fight IQ with Sabina Monzo. She doesn't have that IQ of being able to catch a leg and go for the takedown with that, because it was there for her.
Yeah, whether it was with teeps or shots to the body or the leg, Marina was still kicking and doing just fine with it. So
yeah, because Mackenzie wasn't doing anything. She wasn't doing anything with it. I mean, she wasn't stopping it, and she definitely wasn't going for a takedown.
Yeah. Stamina with a good point here, saying Durn's worst offense, in quotes, was the glaring absence of ground and pound, and the little she did looked worse than Casey O'Neill. She for sure could have gotten Marina out of there if not for wanting style points. I mean, I thought that she did land some solid enough shots in at the end of round 2 to give her a 10-8 on my cards. It was really close, I think, because Marina did threaten with a submission of her own. And, in the brief moments before that round hit the ground, she did still outstrike her on the feet, but I thought she did enough. But yeah, it was, if she would have just went for the ground and pound finish, probably could have got very close, Steve. She was in a very dominant position in full mount.
Yeah. But again, that's just not. She's been doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for a very long time. I think she's only been in MMA for 5 years, right? 5 years?
Something like that.
It's not a long time of being in MMA fights. Um, but you're at the highest level. So there are expectations of being able to finish fights other than just with submission. Like, she should have dropped elbows and finished Rodriguez.
Yeah. In a perfect world. In her perfect world, that would have been.
She had position, and she had the position to do it. And Marina didn't have defense for it.
Yeah, no, there was it was kind of like hanging on to get out of that round kind of stuff. So
yeah,
a lot that can be learned from for Mackenzie Durn. Of course, always things continue to work on for Marina, especially in those situations. But my goodness, you gotta still feel good about being able to hang down there. If I was her, so I cannot wait to see her back. Of course, everybody is mentioning the Joanna potential matchup, which we have discussed a bit before.
Love it.
James says Marina has a chance against Joanna. Absolutely. If Joanna tries to prove a point striking with her, but really Joanna could just blast her to the fence and kill her with elbows and knees. I don't necessarily think that's the case anymore, Steve.
Well, I mean, from what we gotta I guess we have to go to her last fight, which was that phenomenal fight of the year against Weili, right?
Yeah,
that was her last fight. So that's all that we can. And prior to that, she was a champion. So if Joanna is really into the fight, like her heart is in it, it's gonna be tough for Marina Rodriguez. It really will be.
But if it was really into it, Steve, she would have taken this fight already. This fight would have happened already.
Drake, I've been telling you, I don't know. We don't know if she even wants to fight anymore. I think she's happy. I think she's happy being, on the beach and hanging out and shit. I think she's perfectly fine not fighting.
Yeah, I think that's very obvious.
Maybe that fight against Weili really did take something out of her. Like, dude, her whole head and face got deformed, for fuck's sake. Like, maybe she looked at herself in the mirror for days and days and days and was like, who the fuck is this bitch? That's not me. I don't want this to happen ever again.
Possible. Only Joanna knows.
Dude, that kind of shit fucks you up, bro.
Yeah.
Weili fucking fucked her up.
There we go. Everyone will love that. So, but yeah, no, I think that it's just so shitty with the current situation of how the division's being clogged up that fight makes perfect sense. But, in the meantime, Marina doesn't have to wait. But we'll see how it shakes out. And interesting. Who pointed this out here? Where did it go? Let me find this. So many comments today, you guys. Appreciate the interaction. But, here it is. Rain said, I don't think Mackenzie Durn would have any chance of submitting Esparza from the bottom because Verna shut down everything from top control. Very true. And it's funny, we don't often see Durn. I mean, we haven't really seen her on the bottom aside from against Verna. And the thing is, Verna also phenomenal grappler. But I didn't really think about the point he's mentioning until thinking back about Verna versus Carla. And Carla was actually able to survive getting submitted. So I think that's an interesting point, actually. I didn't really think about it. I figured that Durn would probably be a nightmare for Carla, but you forget that she did survive with Verna. So she could very well do the same.
Carla is very good on the ground.
Well, yes, Steve, we know this, but you just think, like the wrestler versus the BJJ.
Yeah.
In theory, you're always like, a little scary there historically. So I think that's actually a good point, Ray, and I'm glad you brought that up. And Rue, He says Whaley only started her MMA career in 2014 and she won a belt. Just admit that Durn will never get better. Will not admit that. Robbie Lawler looked like he was done and he came back to be champion.
Guys. Come on. She's going to get better. There's blaring holes. Obviously, there's blaring holes. The striking and then not being able to take a fighter down. But she's going to get better. It's 5 years in MMA, guys. That's not a whole lot of time.
Yeah, people all progress differently. So,
yeah,
unless she starts to go on some serious losing streak, and again, we haven't seen Mackenzie go through an extended kind of very obvious poor performance like this yet. So these kind of things change people. Look at what happened to GSP. You want to look at the best example you can. Guy lost to Matt Hughes and Matt Serra and came back to be the GOAT. Not going to say Durn will do that, but it's possible. It's possible.
Happen, I guess.
Yes. So let's see what else we got here. All right, we'll move on. That was UFC Vegas 39. I guess we should say anything else about it, Steve, because no one enjoyed it. Apparently,
nobody liked the card. So just you and me, Drake. You and me.
Hey, props though. We should mention the history that was made, Steve, because this was the first card where all the ladies got bonuses. You love to see it. Love to see it. Bravo to these great warriors. Yeah. Where's Alvin when you need him? I know he probably loves that too. Yes, but very happy to see that. Also, everyone we just talked about, they got bonuses. So yeah, very cool. Some history. But all right. Mailbag time. Who would have thought? It's back. It's back because we got some mail from our boy Stamina dropping
Stamina to the rescue.
To the rescue. Yusuf has disappeared. Hope he's okay. You haven't heard from him in quite a while, but
maybe
that's
he's just
all right.
pissed. Maybe he's a lurker now, and he's just.
Well, I mean, Valentina won though, so he should be happy.
Yeah, but maybe he doesn't want to put up with everybody's shit anymore. I don't know.
There's a lot of people that have been in that boat, Steve. Trust me, I'm sure you've heard from them. I have, who watch the show and now they don't watch live anymore, but they still check it out, which is appreciated. You know who you are. But yeah, maybe that's the case with Yusuf. So shout out to Yusuf, you guys. you know, if you know. No shenanigans here though today. So let's get to it.
I kind of miss the shenanigans.
I know. I never made that fancy thing.
So. All right, so Stamina. Here's my question. What strategy, either peaceful or violent, we love violence, do fans of this accursed sport need to do get so-called journos not to ask fighters fucking stupid questions? Drake, I love this question so much because I've talked about it. I'm not sure how much worse it can get. Oh, it can get worse, buddy. I think it can get a hell of a lot worse. But I'm not keen to find out. I know. I agree. Drake, I have said this on this very show before. We have talked about this, Drake. I cannot fucking stand MMA journalists. I don't even know if they're journalists. Like, I cannot stand MMA media. I fucking despise them. I despise them because they do not know how to ask questions of the fighters or of anybody else in the sport. Actually, like, you get the same stupid fucking questions over and over, and it's just so shut the fuck up.
Ghost chiming and saying he asks me to ask stupid questions to fighters all the time when he's covering shows. They're not stupid questions, Ghost. Your questions are the best and always get pretty good reactions, as you saw from Kayla. That was a fun one. But yeah, it's obviously not great, and I don't want to paint that brush over every single person in the media because there, of course, are some good ones. But at these types of press conference things and whatnot,
Drake, I feel like the good ones aren't let to ask the questions. It's always the same goofballs, the same dummies asking the same questions. And I have nothing against John Morgan. I don't. I think he's really good at his job, and he's been around for a very long time. But he doesn't ask the hard-hitting questions that somebody who's been around for so fucking long and is in as a MMA junkie and has so much power. I as much power as you can possibly get, I guess, in MMA media. He doesn't ask the right questions, Drake. He just but this is coming from me respecting him.
So this is an interesting. I feel like we have talked about this exact thing before. And John is great. I do rather enjoy him. Great guy. I've met him several times.
Yeah,
it's
I've met him. He's very nice. He's a lovable fucking panda bear,
So here's the thing. Here's the thing is I mentioned the press conferences and things like that, right? The thing with those is one of the big reasons you don't see maybe, let's say, the best questions necessarily all the time is because everyone wants to save the best for their own stuff. You want the exclusives, right? If you put it out there on that big surface, ain't gonna be great. Those are usually, they invite silliness and the goofballs, as you say, the guys who are like, how the fuck did this person get in here?
Like Schmo, like
I'm not naming those names.
Like the pink jacket wearer guy.
Steve is trying to get me in trouble.
That big black guy, Ocho Cinco, for fuck's sake.
Oh, that Ocho is undeniably very stupid, but I've heard that they're not going to let him do that anymore, which is great because he asks the same stupid fucking question every time. The stupidest
now we're
question.
Gonna get Terrell Owens or something.
Steve-O back there. But also you got to think about this, you guys, and this is something I think a lot of people definitely don't consider. Like you mentioned John Morgan, who he's got the seniority. We always let him take the first questions, and he's openly said, like, I'm fine with letting you guys go first if you want, but we're just like, that's what John does. Let him have it, whatever. Like, it's no big deal. And he gets out the basics kind of right out of the gate, right? So you're like, all right. If you notice, he asks a lot of the same thing every time. How you feeling? That kind of thing.
The same question over and over.
It's a little bit
just built differently, and it's annoying.
Well, this is what I'm getting at.
If you watch them, it's like, oh my god, just fucking shoot me right now. Just fucking end this shit.
It's the art of the warm-up is what it is. So, but also the thing I was getting at was what people don't understand is you mentioned the hard-hitting questions, which, yes, those are very important. But on especially those platforms, let's say I keep thinking, I'm imagining press conference right now because this is where we see generally kind of the worst, the most terrible questions, that kind of thing. If John Morgan was to go out there and be like, so Dana, what's the news with Connor's latest rape case? Whatever, just or like, why you keep this guy around and really grill him about it. So that obviously hurts his position, his access. They're probably not going to be too happy about him doing that just because UFC, why would they don't want to talk about that stuff? Obviously, we've seen this in the past before, but not only does that likely affect his job in the sense that he's not going to be able to cover anymore, let's say in theory, but it also hurts Junkie, right? Then Junkie's going to be in trouble. Maybe they ban Junkie, so it's not only him, but then it becomes
they've done it with MMA fighting.
They've done it. Bloody elbow's not allowed anymore.
That's true. Bloody elbow, yeah.
But just because you wanted to ask a question that you really know he's not going to answer, and I'm not saying you shouldn't ask. I think it's very important too. It's all about wording. I myself think I've done this. I've asked about the health insurance thing. It's all about how you present it. But if you come at them like that and be aggressive, like remember when Greg Hardy and Ostovich were fighting on the same card, that guy who asked about that, he got banned. Probably whatever side he was with got banned. You're not only hurting yourself potentially, well, most likely, you're hurting your whole site, which, do you really want to be responsible for getting an entire group of people banned and then maybe yourself fired because you did that. Like, it's just not a smart thing to do for yourself, which is why we don't see it. If this was like the NFL or I don't know, something where where it didn't matter, if like the UFC couldn't keep you out,
Yeah.
you would see it all the time. But because there's the fact that you could fuck something up for not just yourself, but everyone you work with, you don't want to be responsible for that. That's a lot of guilt, man.
Therein lies the problem, Drake. You just said it. The NFL can't do it, right? They can't keep people away, but the UFC can. That's the fucking problem, Drake. The UFC manipulates everything that comes in. They they see everything that comes in. They have the same fucking people asking the same fucking type of questions every single fucking time because they know it's vanilla. We don't want fucking vanilla. Vanilla fucking sucks. Fuck vanilla. At least give me fucking Neapolitan. I want some fucking strawberry. I want some chocolate. Fuck vanilla. Fuck only vanilla.
Oh, we got the Steve rants. I love it. But yeah, so I mean, that's essentially what it comes down to, stamina. And when it comes to the quote unquote goofballs, like Steve mentioned, like those guys who are there for the very first time, those
Yeah.
people, it's just inexperience and they don't really know what they're doing, which is a problem with media journalism in the first place this day and
Yep.
age. Not just with MMA, but in general, people
No,
who
in
just
general.
kind of fall in
Yeah.
randomly, like I did myself, I'll fully admit, but here we
Yeah.
are. I've done the best I can. But they come in and they kind of want to be famous or get some popularity out of it, right? Like
Yeah.
leave an impression that's not really going to fucking go anywhere. But they don't know that, so they try and be stupid or silly. Maybe not on purpose, but that's what ends up happening. It's just inexperience. There's not a lot of real journalists, real
Not in
media
MMA.
members in
Yeah, not in
MMA.
MMA, man.
It is what it is. And I really hope I'm not sounding high and mighty here because I feel like a pretty big douchebag right now. So you guys can tell me if I'm coming off that way. But hey, I would love to ask questions more at the press conferences, but it's hard manning the camera and doing all these things at once. So
But
it
also,
is what it is.
to be fair, Drake, there's only about 20 minutes
Yeah,
of
they're not very
question,
long either.
of question time. 15 minutes, 20 minutes of question time. Um, and then Dana White's like, all right, let's wrap it up. Let's go. Let's get these guys faced off. And then he wants out because he knows once the one guy or girl or whatever comes up and asks a question that he didn't approve or his team didn't approve or whatever, and they kind of just slid in there, on accident, shit's gonna fucking hit the fan. And he don't want that before a fight. He doesn't want that before the big fights. Because that's when they do the press conferences typically, are during the big fights. They don't do the press conferences on a fight night, at the Apex. They don't do that. They do it at T-Mobile Arena, Madison Square Garden, Abu Dhabi, wherever they go, wherever else they go other than the Apex. Once that one person, that one media member, it might not even be a fucking media member. It might be some fucking bum off the street, gets in there and asks one question about John Jones being a piece of shit or something like that. Why haven't you cut this domestic violence piece of shit? Why is Chuck Liddell there still? Why do you keep showing Chuck Liddell on the screen? He's a piece of shit, right? Once you get that one person, that's going to invite all the fucking other fucktards who want to ask stupid fucking questions.
I love the passion, but I don't know. Having been behind the scenes, I think generally when that does happen, like let's say for example, you said the pink suit guy who kind of called out Connor a little bit. It
Yeah.
kind of everyone around kind of goes like, "Oh, there he goes. There's the guy." It doesn't
Yeah.
really make everyone feel like, at least the people who go all the time, like the core group who are reoccurring, like some people slide in, like you said, but generally all of us who are frequent goers are like, oh boy, this should be fun to watch. But it's not like, oh, all right, our turn, which because it goes back to what I said. And it's an interesting thing, but like you said, mentioned a little bit, Steve, because they kind of want just the vanilla and
Oh,
propping up for the most part. Like
so much Drake.
that's why some of the bozos get let in, because they're gonna kiss ass a little bit. They're not gonna be,
Yeah.
you know, integral, I suppose you could say, or have integrity about certain things. But
Yeah, I agree.
probably won't change anytime soon. So
So Stamina has a few things to say after our questions or his question, and then we answered him. Silliness is fine, absent context, but let it be so we can laugh, not cringe.
right.
Please. And then he says, John Morgan, softball king, with his trademarks, very nice. To damn near every reply to groundhog vibes. That's exactly what I'm saying. Like we've seen it a million times over now. How many pay-per-views are we at now? 269? 260, 269 now? 268? We're going 268. Fucking John Morgan's been there, it feels like, since the very fucking beginning, since they've been doing these press conferences. And it's the same thing over and over and over. Like, so they started letting Schmo do his thing at the press conferences. And I was like, all right, finally, at least it's a change up. But then it's like, oh my God, this guy again. Jesus Christ. Can Helen ask a question? Fuck, I don't want to see Schmo anymore. Let Helen ask a question.
Well, that goes back to what I said also, is like some people don't want to ask because they want to save it for their one-on-ones, right?
Yeah.
Like that's why I don't care that much. Like there's some, if I want to ask a question during the press conference, it's simply a timing thing. Like, all right, will I be able to ask this later? Let's do it now. Because you don't talk to the losers typically after they lose. So it's like, and of course it's before the fight and all that kind of thing. So there's a big old dynamic and thought process behind it. But
The one good thing, though, Drake, about being at the press conference and being able to get up there and ask a question is that all eyes are on you.
right. Yeah, good for exposure for the 30 minutes or so, but
Right.
depends on what you do with it. Like I said, that's why some of the doofuses or whoever, will take their fame for a while it lasts. Like Pink Suit Guy. Look, we're talking about him now. He got it out of the way. And hey, I have
Yeah,
no
but
bad
not in a good
interactions with the
way.
guy,
Like I'm
but
not. The
I'm
pink
just
suit guy.
saying.
The pink suit
It's an
guy annoyed the
example.
fuck out of me. By the way, like I get it.
He
You
had
know,
a fair point though. He had a
he did
very
have
fair
a fair
point.
point. He did have a fair point.
Just how he worded it, right? It goes
But it
back to
was
what I
the
said.
wording. It was the wording of the question where I was like, "You're kind of a fucking douchebag." And that was to Connor, who's the ultimate fucking douchebag.
Yeah. But we have an important appearance here, Steve. He's arrived. Good
Oh,
evening,
Brennan!
Mr. Riggs and Mr. King. I enjoyed the phenomenal fight card with a lot of great
There you
performances.
go.
I hope you gentlemen did too.
We
And as
did.
Stamina mentioned, nobody did. I'll have a bunch of complainers in here tonight. It has been rough, Alvin. You've not missed anything that you would like to see. So yeah. Rain says Pink Suit Guy was an idiot. Well, Rue thinks he was funny.
I love to see it. I love to see it.
Bruce Bobtrotter is here. I love the name. He says journalists need to get more leverage. They are scared of Dana kicking them out of presser. A union could help. Pretty
That's
much what we also hinted at. Not that it's scared, but it's a matter of we're caring about your job more than anything. Like, trust me, a lot of the main guys, like I mentioned, would totally ask much more pressing things if they, weren't worried about. It's an access driven sport. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, unfortunately, and
Yes.
and the UFC is the promotion, the one promotion, the top promotion. And if you're blackballed from the UFC, there goes your career. Unless if you're just, hanging out with Bellator and one and Ryzen. But that's not. There's the UFC is where the eyes are at, unfortunately.
Yep. And Stamina says, this is the issue right here. The mindset is so binary that if not questions that court controversy, the only thing left is to be creatively vacant. They can ask damn near anything. It's so lazy. Well,
Actually, they can't just ask anything because they're kind of screened. The questions are screened.
what do you mean by that?
Well, I mean, they put on the people who they know will not cause a fucking ruckus.
Well, not exactly. They ask if everybody, you want to ask questions, all that. I've never seen kind of that pick and choose situation. Like every time, I get asked by one of the PR people, you want to ask today, whatever. And, just depends on how things go. But it is what it is. Joseph says breaking news: Rockhold out to a back injury. I hope that's not true. That would bum me out greatly.
That sucks.
Yeah, that is terrible news. Jimmy asks, Drake, have you ever caused a ruckus? I mean, I don't think so. I wouldn't say so. I mean, I asked Dana last time I saw him about what he thought of Yoel versus Phil Davis, and he kind of had a little bit of a snappy response towards Yoel, never against me. The health insurance question I asked, I think he took fine. And again, I think it's how you present it. I can't really think of a time I caused too much trouble. And it's not that I don't try, but it's just that I think it's all about that presentation. Like we've talked about many times, also over on SCMP, all about how you word things. So I don't think so. Maybe somebody could point out. Well, there was, I did ask Connor at the press conference about, I think like, is it something about the rivalries or whatever with Nate and something about his animosity and like why has it changed toward Dustin for kind of no reason? And he just like kind of went off and said fuck all of them and that kind of thing. I wouldn't say that's a ruckus though. So I don't know. I can't think of anything too specific. Joseph says, Drake, is it true? How it is true? Okay, that really is a bummer, Joseph. I was very excited for that. He says, how about Durn versus Torres? Since Tisha said she wants a top 5 next, I think that's great matchmaking. Steve, what do you think about Durn Torres next?
Sure, why not?
Yeah, why not? So, all right, Rain. So you want to get into this? He says, can you answer my long-winded question from earlier? Yes, I don't know. You want me to scroll all the way back up? I know you had several bits to this because you can only type in so much, right? But it's actually, I think, gone now because of all the comments. I appreciate you guys for that. But anyway, I do remember what you're saying. He was saying the thing about journalists or media people referencing JHK from SCMP. What was it? Last week, whenever we did the show, I was on it, and how we don't really know what we're talking about or don't break down exactly the same.
I'll read it. I'll read it word for word. After JHK uninformed ideas that Henry Cejudo is not a karate boxer, I was thinking about the concept of matchups and styles make fights. In MMA particularly, MMA media completely misunderstands or simplifies the concept entirely. It seems like when someone talks about a fighter style, they usually conflate that fighter's martial art with their fighting style, or worse, ignore that with vague classifications. Like what I heard on this show and SCMP MMA, they said Durn was the classic striker versus grappler matchup. Someone who boxes is not a boxing style. They could be classified as a boxer swarmer or boxer puncher. Also, Steve thinks of Muay Thai as its own style, and JHK thinks Karate Guys as a pure outfighter.
Is that the end of it?
That is its own style. They literally have Muay Thai fights. like you have said before, every fighter has tools to use from a tactical and strategic point of view. Let's compare the way Valentina and Antonina use Muay Thai. They have a background in Muay Thai, but their styles are completely different. Valentina likes to rely on timing, while Antonina wants to get in the clinch and throw clinch knees and elbows. I feel like MMA media does not really look closely at the fighters' strategies and tactics as close as you do, but tries to generalize the fighter's style into a vacuum.
I did not expect him to compliment us there at the
Why do
end.
you think people like JHK, who cover the sport and talks as if he knows everything, thinks that? Uh, okay, so can we not hate on John?
He was very, very much going at him on that show. But yes, love John as well. But Ghost and I spoke about this over, I think it was right after that show actually, because he mentioned it to me because Rain was asking him about it. So I wouldn't say that John thinks that he knows everything. Maybe the way he came off, in your opinion, seemed that way, but he will often say he doesn't really know everything. And I mean, we saw that his pick was wrong, right? If we're going to be honest, he chose Mackenzie Durn, and we kind of went back and forth a little bit. Guess who was right? I'm just going to toot my own horn a little bit, but either way, the thing that is the misconception here, Rain, is that you're kind of lumping everybody together with everyone in MMA media, the media members, journalists, whatever you have it, they're not all analysts. They're not all Dan Hardy, who was a former fighter. They're not all Dan Tom, who's a guy who doesn't really, I don't know if he's ever done an interview, honestly, at least that I have seen, or at least lately. He's a guy who does breakdowns, that kind of thing.
He's done interviews.
Yeah, I mean, it's not his thing, though, is what I'm getting at. So
No.
Dan Tom breaks down fights.
Mhm.
I do not write about breaking down fights. I mean, I'll do it on the show and everything. James Lynch kind of does the same thing. He'll do interviews and all that, but mostly what media members and everybody who gets into media does is not being an analyst or somebody breaking things down. There are still plenty, but people you see on screen for the most part are trying to typically tell stories or do their clickbait, whatever, news it is.
You go to the biggest. You go to the biggest, the biggest MMA media. You think ESPN at this right now, right? Okamoto doesn't break down fights.
Oh,
Helwani doesn't break down fights. Those are probably the two biggest MMA media members that are known in the sport and maybe even outside, especially Helwani. They don't break down fights. They've never fucking broke down a fight. They ask questions. That's what they do. They ask the questions and they put out their own perspective on the fight or on the fighters.
right. So
but you will not see them breaking down the fight. I don't think that they know how to break down a fight. Honestly, Drake, I don't think they know how. It's not in their little belt buckle. Their little.
That's the thing, right? That's the, the toolbox. That's the thing, is why you shouldn't assume that everybody kind of, I mean, again, that's the thing with being on screen, and we have to talk about the sport. That's literally what we're doing all the time. But in terms of mentioning those things, like you said, if people aren't doing that and whatnot, it's because they're not analysts. And like, Steve might point out, maybe they don't notice these things. I know a lot of you guys have seen a new light thanks to Ghost Phantom for pointing it out. So it's like, just, it's all a way of what the focus lies on. And it's not the same for everybody, clearly. But people still come to these people, us included. We're doing the show right now. You guys are asking us our thoughts on things. You still want the thoughts, but that doesn't mean that we're the best providers of maybe what you're asking for. Just how it goes. So I think that's kind of what it comes down to. I hope I've answered that as best as I could, but Point is, not everyone's an analyst, is what I was trying to make.
Yeah. And I don't think that everybody has that in them to be able to analyze a fight. Look, I didn't start writing with MMA. I started writing and analyzing boxing fights. Boxing has always been my first love, always. That and wrestling they've gone together for me. They were equal, and they're probably still equal. I still hold boxing higher than MMA, even though I'm doing this MMA show with Drake. Even though I've written many articles, about MMA. I think my biggest article, the most viewed article that I've ever written, was a fucking article where I broke down. You remember Conor McGregor and Paulie Malignaggi, how they got it, how they did their
Their little thing,
practice thing, or I don't even
oh
know.
right,
The sparring session,
yeah.
whatever the hell it was. So I broke down literally that whole thing, right? Broke down the whole video, the whole clip and everything. Broke it down section to section to section, everything about that clip. Broke it all down. It was I think to this day, still my most seen fucking article. And I've written so many better articles, but of course it was Conor McGregor, Paulie Malignaggi. Conor McGregor at one point tweeted out, and Paulie Malignaggi was, talk shit to me and stuff, and it was great. It was great for me. I loved it, because that's who I am. I don't give a fuck. Whatever, talk all the shit you want. But it was an acknowledgement. I literally broke down a sparring session between a guy who can't box and a professional boxer. Like now that I think about it, that was my most seen boxing or most seen article in combat sports. Me
That's
breaking
amazing.
down fucking Conor McGregor and Paulie Malignaggi sparring. Oh my god.
It tells you all you need to know about the community.
Yeah, it's
well done, though. Well done. But ridiculous. Yeah, I hope that's enough for you, Rain. It's
but like I think like what Drake said, that not everybody even wants to break down fights. I don't think they
honestly, it's not my favorite thing to do. I always hate to come off like, needing to be right or anything like that. Like, I don't know why people want my opinion. I feel like I don't have the answers or anything. Of course, some people ask me things. Obviously, you guys are here, but it's one of those things where, not my favorite thing to do. And I mean, Rube mentions this here. I always thought media and analysis came hand in hand, but I guess I was wrong.
Yeah, I don't think so. Like Drake was saying, I think there's more media members who probably have never broken down a fight in their life.
I mean, hey, my favorite thing to do, I've said this time and time again, is the storytelling and all that. So, I don't really do any more breakdown type articles. I have before, of course, when starting out more so, but it's like, I don't really do that anymore. So,
yeah, no. And that's Drake. That's literally how you and I met.
Yeah.
At a site where that's where you and I started basically at the same time, pretty close. I mean, we were doing other things and stuff, but like coming together at that one site, right?
Right.
That's literally how we started writing out our articles and stuff, was breaking down a fight, previewing or breaking down the fight that literally just happened, and then putting it out that same night that the fight just happened.
Yeah, and I remember I was doing I was pretty much doing an article series version of this show. I was doing not the recaps, but weekly previews for the fights.
For the women's fights.
For the women only. So,
and Drake, I think that's how you and I got together and became the show, was because I saw that you loved women's MMA, and not only that, but I saw that there was there was something needed. There was something needed in MMA media where the women, especially when you and I first started the show,
Yeah,
there was really nothing out there
there still
about.
isn't much.
That's true. There still isn't, but there's a little bit more. There's a little bit more. Um, but when I came to you and was like, "Hey, let's fucking do this show, dude. Let's do this podcast together." You know, because
Yeah.
I literally read your breakdown.
Yeah. Yeah, it all worked out pretty good, I would say. So just how it goes. That was definitely a long question, Jen, but hey, Rain has the passion for it. I appreciate him sticking to it a week later or so. So yeah, could definitely go on and on about that. But Mr. Lee he asked two questions actually. So before this one, he asked, and I see you, Scott, asking about Manon. We'll get to her later, my friend. Don't you worry. But Mr. Lee also asked, what about Rodriguez versus Torres? Fight already happened somewhat recently, and it was very clear for Rodriguez. I don't think that'd be too different at this stage. And that would be fighting down for her where she's at now, top 5 and all that. Don't think that should happen. But Mr. Lee asked, Drake, have you ever been interviewed? Yes, I have actually. I wouldn't necessarily call them interviews, but, podcast appearances where maybe it was more about me. I've only done a couple of those, maybe like 2 or 3. But yeah, if you want to see that kind of stuff, which is, I think, very awkward. I have trouble to watch those back, but I do have a guest appearances playlist on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/DrakeRiggs. If you want to go see some of those where I'm kind of being interviewed. So there's been a few instances, Mr. Lee. Chuck says, breaking down and reviewing fights is the least enjoyable thing I do. Everyone's a critic, and God forbid you get a pick wrong. All the Anons come out of the woodwork to remind you that is very true. Thankfully, I don't deal with that at all, Steve. I don't know if people go to you about that, but people are pretty good to us.
I think they used to go more, and I was just like, look, I pretty much said, look, I'm not fucking perfect. Neither are you.
Yeah. It's funny because on Saturday, right before the event started, I tweeted, I can't believe how many people are counting out Marina. And I was like, I know if she loses, there's going to be a bunch of assholes coming out. But I mean, hey, I was just saying the truth there. A lot of people counted her out of that fight.
Yeah.
And then Chuck says, that said, I always keep it simple to things that anyone can see. Exactly, right? That's also a part of it. Know your audience. Some people might not even comprehend the depth of the breakdown you're doing or what you're saying, right? So that's also a thing to remember. But yeah. Oops. Jin says, Ghost provides the only analysis for women on YouTube with tactics and strategy. Why not just ask him? Oh, he's saying that to Rain. All right, well, we can move on. That's the mailbag. Just one question, but we extended it. Appreciate it. Regardless, you guys, good fun there. Got a consistent stream of viewers. Appreciate all you guys. If you're on Twitter or YouTube right now,
yeah,
great to see you. As we get to the news, we go from a jam-packed news week last week, Steve, to not a lot this week. We have
a title fight.
We have a title fight, but that's about it. It's about it. A little replacement. It is what it is. Can't all be loaded, which is just fine. But as you mentioned, the title fight is not the one we expected. Wild card alert.
Yeah, Chris Cyborg will defend her title against Sinead Kavanaugh on November 12th at Bellator 271 in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I kind of wish it was in Ireland, man.
That would have been perfect. We thought that maybe they would do Kavanaugh versus McCourt next in Ireland. Seemed solid, but I didn't even realize that Sinead's last fight against Katharina Leonard, I did not realize that was like a full year ago now. So it's like,
yeah, she hasn't fought for a while, man.
And she'd have to wait a bit, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember when that Dublin card is, but for Leah McCourt to turn around, all that kind of thing. As much as that makes sense. Now she's getting a title shot, so good for her. But yeah, as we said, not what I expected. I'm not mad at it because she is on a 2-fight winning streak. I do think that she was winning that round against Janae until she got cut. But she got cut, so it's a fair loss, all that kind of thing. Kat, obviously a
Yeah.
little bit preoccupied. That was the fight we expected,
Yeah.
despite the kind of easier path to get there. Busy with the Halle Berry lawsuit, you would imagine. Haven't heard anything otherwise. And then Pam Sorensen was the other option, who we'll get to. Or there was another wild card in Megan Anderson, who, from what I have heard, is not signed with anybody yet, or is close to. Not Bellator at the moment. I can confirm PFL has not signed her because she did put out that tweet a while back, a couple weeks ago. Apparently, as of right now, so far that is not related at all to fighting. So who knows if she'll fight again? She's interviewing people now. She talked to Mackenzie Durn before the fight. So yeah, is what it is. Options are actually limited for Cyborg, but she got Sinead Kavanaugh, and I mean, should be fun while it lasts, I guess. What do you think, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like it's cool, I guess, that she's getting her title shot, but there's that one fighter that everybody wanted to see fight Chris Cyborg, which is Kaz Zingano, right? Right now.
I mean, everybody did. Yes, that was pretty unanimous, but I honestly think I might give Sinead a better shot.
Kavanaugh might have the better chance with Cyborg because at least she can land on Cyborg and hurt her.
Yeah, I mean, Kat has never been that great of a striker.
Right.
Serviceable, but against somebody like Cyborg, I don't know about that. And then getting her to the ground, which will be your best chance. I don't know. But
so, Rose saying, don't care. Should be Kat Zingano. James is saying, Cyborg fighting Kavanaugh. Wish it was Zingano. Ghost is saying, I'm excited for this one to see how Josh Thompson tries to sell this for Sinead. Stamina, of course, saying, I'm not sure Zingano has enough left in her to face someone like Cyborg. To be honest, carry on giving her the light touches for now. I say I don't want to see Kat get flatlined.
Yeah, but she wants the fight.
She doesn't want the fight. I mean, who doesn't want a title fight? Everybody wants a title fight. That's why you fight. You fight for the title. You want that title fight, right? You want that big name fight. Chris Cyborg is it. That's probably literally why Kat Zingano went to Bellator. Because it was close to she would be a hell of a lot closer to a title fight.
Well, it's all complicated, obviously, with the lawsuit and everything, but in terms of bantamweight options, as we know, not too many outside the UFC, unfortunately. We'll see it, presumably, after this. Who knows? We'll see how it all plays out. But, excuse me. Yeah, it is the next title fight. So, in Florida, that'll be cool for Bellator to go there.
Okay, and to be fair, so Scott Coker did say that Kat Zingano would be next against the winner of this fight.
Oh, he did? Okay.
He did.
I didn't see that.
Right. He did say that.
All right. There's that then. So maybe there's some injury related as well, but we do know, obviously.
We don't know. We don't know what the hell's going on with Kat.
Yeah. Doing the lawsuit and everything.
But is she still doing that? Like,
as far as we know.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see that working out well for her.
If what we know is true, sounds like she's got a solid case, but again,
no, that's gonna be tough, man.
Yeah. Time will tell. But also on that card, Steve, is somebody we mentioned taking on a former title challenger, and this should be a pretty good fight. I think it should be a brawl.
Yeah, Arlene Blanco versus Pam Sorensen. Pam Sorensen will make her Bellator debut.
I know. Now her second fight.
She had one fight already. Yeah.
Yeah, the Samad one.
Yeah. Shit. That's also at Bellator 271. So I guess if something happens with Kavanaugh, Blanco would step in, or Sorensen would step in. One of them would step in. I'm assuming it would be Sorensen.
Yeah.
Because Blanco just got beat by Cyborg.
Yep, that would be the thought. Man, this is like
Good for you, Drake.
It is a solid one. I'm not mad at it. Pam could have got the title shot instead. Obviously had one of those rougher, a tough stylistic matchup with Samad. We knew that was kind of a trap fight. At least it felt like it, and it was a tough one for her, but she got the job done. Now taking on Arlene, who another pretty tough matchup, but this fight makes a lot more sense. All that kind of thing. Blanco doesn't lose unless it's to the very best. So if Pam can beat her,
crazy.
You better believe that title shot. She should get the title shot if she beats Blanco over Kat 100%. Let's be honest. Kat's beat Olivia Parker and fucking Gabby Holloway. If Pam can beat Arlene here, she should get that. Coming in off being champion, there's no doubt in my mind there. And Cintro says, I feel that Sorensen would have made a better fight with Cyborg than Kavanaugh.
I think Drake and I feel that way too. We talked about this, Drake. When Pam Sorensen went to Bellator, we were like, dude, she can fight right now for the title. She went in there literally still holding the Invicta title.
Yeah.
She was the champion. There could have been champion versus champion sort of type of thing. And they kind of missed on that. But Sorensen, I do think is probably the toughest match for Cyborg at this point.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I think that's fair to say. But yeah, we'll see how this card goes. I mean, a little bit of a featherweight highlight here at the top. So should be something. But
this should be in Ireland.
Yeah, that would have been cool.
They missed on that.
Cool.
Because aren't they going to Ireland like the week after or something like that?
If it's the week after, then yeah, you should have done that.
It's pretty close to it. I think they're pretty close to each other.
Absurd. Come on, Bellator. What are you doing? But yeah, I don't know. Gallagher probably main eventing or whatever. Anyway, to move on.
Exactly, Gallagher.
Yeah. We have good news, Steve, in the flyweight division. This was a bummer, but I like the replacement a lot.
Yeah, so Alexa Grasso's out, which is a bummer. But Calderwood will keep on fighting, and she will take on, as you see there on the screen, Talia Santos, which is a hell of a fight.
Yeah.
It sucks that we're losing Grasso, but Santos is stepping in, and that's a great fucking fight.
That's a great replacement. Yeah. I absolutely love it. I loved both of these matchups. I'm very bummed that we're gonna have to wait to see Alexa come back, whenever that is. But Talia Santos this quickly? Yeah. Hell yeah, sign me up.
she's kind of a beast, man, and she's stepping up against a really good striker.
Climbing that ladder. If she beats JoJo here, I mean, I think I already said that she's probably 2 fights max away from a title shot. If she beats JoJo,
she's there. She's there, man. Because
who else?
You got to remember, Calderwood had the title fight in her hands, and she let it go. So Santos wins. She can be the next one up.
Getting some love for Talia Santos here.
This is good to see. I'm glad that you guys were behind her, because she's a good one, man.
Yeah,
not that Calderwood isn't. It's just that Santos is.
She's looking pretty nasty.
Man. She's violent, dude.
And getting more and more well-rounded, as we've seen with each and every fight. I was not sold on her incredibly. I'm going to say this every time probably, but I was not sold on her and her incredibly padded record going into the UFC. She got
You
pushed
keep
back.
mentioning it, and I
I
think that
know.
you should just let it go.
I know. I mean, because at this point, she is legit. She is very
let
legit.
it go, Drake. Let it go.
Alvin says, wishing both. Great performance, of course. Got to get the positivity in there. But yeah, no, she's looking awesome right now. And I dare say that I might struggle to see anyone not named Andrade and Valentina give her trouble right now. She's showing off her grappling more than her striking lately. And she has got that great Muay Thai background, Steve. Like, that's a problem. So for JoJo in this one, I think she will need to keep it on the feet, but even then, she's gonna not have an easy night. This is a much tougher matchup, I think, than Alexa would be. And Alexa was a tough one for JoJo too. She's just in a rough spot here with two of these up and comers at flyweight. But yeah, I'm very excited to see Santos back so soon. And like you said, who knows? Maybe she wins, gets title shot. Valentina needs somebody to fight.
Yeah,
But, we'll see.
Hell, Drake. I mean, this could be it. What if she just absolutely puts it on Calderwood and is like, "Yo, I'm up. Give me this fucking
That'd
title
be smart.
Fight. Give me this title fight. Valentina, I'm coming for you." You know, just does this whole fucking great promo where she talks shit to Valentina Shevchenko, the untouchable. I want to see that. You know, like a real one, like a real one. You know, Jessica I's not a real one. Santos is a real one. She can fucking light him up, dude.
Yeah, she definitely can. I don't think we'll get that kind of promo out of her. She's not quite that vocal, but I think that if she was to go out there, dominate, maybe even finish, let's say, that's exactly what Dana loves. Someone filling in and then looking that good, willing to do that. You can probably guarantee a title shot at that point. And Rain won't let it go. He says, "See like that, JoJo, Muay Thai style."
Let it go.
Muay Cow, which means
Maybe
she's a clinch fighter.
Go smoke some weed or something, and you know, and get out of your head, get out of the thoughts.
I mean, they're both great in the clinch, though. Rain is the thing. Like,
yeah, they're very good.
So, but yeah, JoJo in particular, we've seen several times in the past those knees, in particular, the elbows. I feel like we haven't seen JoJo really go to that well too much lately, but wouldn't hurt to try here. It would be fun to see them battle over that position. But
yeah,
again,
Santos is so strong.
Yeah. And Rain, like, do you want deep analysis every single time we talk, my man? Come on. We can't go on forever now. But and exactly, Ghost, thank you. Right when I said that, I see what you're saying, but Drake and Steve don't have the time to look that up while doing the show. Time is invaluable. Stamina says Valentina was sort of saying that JoJo Grasso winner could be next opponent. Wonder if she's still going to say that now. Could be interesting. I don't see why not if she felt that way.
But she won't call out Santos if Santos puts a beating on Calderwood.
Yeah. And I have felt for a while that a style, just an overall game that Santos is kind of presenting with her background, that's one that could be very, very interesting for Valentina. Of course, it's hard to say if she's ready. Is anyone really ready? We'll find out eventually, but if you want to look at somebody, I think Santos has a pretty good thing going on right now.
Yeah, she does. That's why this is such a good fight, though. They're both really good.
Yes, they are. So, all right. That wraps up the news. Like I said, not a lot this week. Got it all out of the system last week. My, oh my, did we ever. It was a whole lot. So, not mad at not much this time around. So, with that in mind, let's get to what is coming up. Steve, the fights that are on the agenda. There is one Contender Series fight tomorrow.
Yep, one.
So, Maria Silva taking on Catherine Poprocki. This is not on the lineup. As you can see, I'm not displaying anything. But Yeah, that should be good. It was supposed to be Silva versus Silvana Gomez Juarez, but obviously Silvana got the call up to take on Lupi. Now Catherine Pop
Didn't work
Rocky
out,
gets a
but
still in the UFC. Pop Rocky gets a call into the UFC, not the UFC Contender Series, taking on Silva instead, and she is an Invicta alum, right, Steve? I feel like I've totally seen her in Invicta. I know I've seen her before, but I swear she's fought in Invicta. I don't have her record up right now or
I
anything.
don't think so. Hold on, let me
But either way, good opportunity for her. Maria Silva still had the full time to prepare, whatnot. See how it goes for her. One to watch at strawweight. Will we see more strawweights added to the division? You got to tune in to find out. Dana White's Contender Series tomorrow night. As Steve does the quick research.
Research. We like research, apparently.
Yay or nay?
LFA.
Okay.
She had one. Oh, against Verbeek, but that was in 2018. She actually beat Isis Verbeek by a decision. I don't remember that.
All right, that must have been what I was thinking of then. Yeah.
But she did have a fight against Emily Ducote in Extreme Fight Night. She lost to her, and then her last fight was this past May at LFA 108, where she won by rear naked choke.
All right, there you have it. So, stamina, yes, he says, yeah, the UFC sure is starved for 115ers.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Dana's just handing out the contracts. We'll see.
Yeah, dude. You know the winner is going to get a contract. The Contender Series is just like predictable at this point.
Totally takes out the fun of it all.
Yeah. Sucks. I mean, it's awesome to see fighters get contracts like you like they're literally, this is what they're literally fighting for their lives for, right? To get to the UFC, to get to the pinnacle of MMA, right? But you're basing your show on fighting for a contract. Not winner gets a contract no matter what.
Yeah, that's what they'll have to just say that. Winner gets a contract.
But that's not how it was, Drake.
I know.
That's not how it was in the beginning. I think that just started just last season, and then it continued on to this.
Well, every season has gotten more and more.
Yeah.
So,
but look, we're saying that, and I fucking love the Contender Series. You know, I mean, we all love the Contender Series, but it just kind of sucks where it's like, all right, the winner's gonna get a contract.
Dampens it a little bit. And Cintro says, Contender Series for fighters about to be cut versus up-and-coming fighters outside the UFC, like JHK said before.
Did John say that? That would be really interesting. That would be fun.
I think I was on with him when he said that.
That would be really interesting and fun. But then it would be like, all right, well, that sucks for this person. They're on their way out because they lost to fucking a no-name, basically. A no-name to people who watch just the UFC.
Right.
That's a UFC fighter. They beat a UFC fighter. They get a contract. The UFC fighter is now gone, because you lost to on Contender Series. That fucking sucks. That would really be like a shitty moment for the.
But that's the fun of it, baby.
I mean, it's a great, like, I love that. I love that John came up with that. That's awesome. I love that. But then I started, like, as soon as I read it, I was like, ooh, that sucks for the loser though.
Oh,
like
the job UFC, swapping.
Yeah, that sucks. That's pretty much saying, all right, I trained you and now I'm fired.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's tough. How do you bounce back from that, you know?
Yeah. Stamina says, I've not even watched Contender Series this season, to be honest. I want to see actual talent rather than brawlers. Just prefer TKO to impress red-faced man. Puppy Mill does not entertain me.
I love
I get where he's
Stamina.
coming from.
I love
get it.
Stamina's verbiage. I fucking love it.
He's a wordsmith, that guy.
He is. He absolutely is. I love his verbiage. It makes me smile like every time that I see it.
It's great. Jin
Even
says,
if I don't agree with him, I'm like, all right, you silly motherfucker.
At least you got me.
Yeah.
Jin says, I thought Contender Series was for great performances, not just winning. So did we.
Yeah. No. Yeah. That was. I guess that was the point of it at the beginning, and then it's kind of just become, well, the fucking winner gets a contract now.
It's dissolved a bit. Centro says that sucks, but that's high stakes. You would think how much pressure there is. Yeah, he's talking about that idea again.
Right. That's a shit ton of pressure on the fighter who's from the UFC and fighting on Contender.
I think that's exactly why they wouldn't do it either, because it'd be tough, like you said.
Yeah, tough, dude. Like, how does the fighter take that fight? You know, like, you're like, nah, dude, I'm not taking that fight. I'm not going to fucking Contender Series my last fight was on a pay-per-view.
Right.
Sure, I lost, but
exactly. So, all right. So, with that in mind, that was a fight to watch out for tomorrow, Contender Series, but we also do have fights to watch out for on Bellator 268. I will be there in Phoenix, Arizona at the Footprint Center.
Oh, you get to see my boy Nemkov.
Oh, yeah.
Man, the disciple. Oh, I love that dude.
Bad man. But before that, we'll have Samiko Inaba versus Randy Field at flyweight, plus Colette Santiago versus Maria Henderson and an amateur strawweight bout. Yes, that is the wife of Benson Henderson. So look out for those two fights. Of course, Sumiko Inaba, she just fought 4 months ago against Christina Katsakis. Got that nice TKO over her. Looked very good in that one. Sumiko fighting out of Hawaii. Before that, she also had TKO ground and pound over Jessica Ruiz. Got 2 nice finishes in her Bellator career so far. Her overall career, she's only 2-0. And so is Randy Field, who's fighting out of, I believe she's been training at CSA lately.
CSA, yep.
But 2-0 as well. This will be her Bellator debut. Has not fought in nearly 2 years. So immediately, I definitely give the edge to Samiko here. I mean, I've just liked what I've seen from her anyway. Haven't seen too much of Randy Field, but has had an amateur career, as did Sumiko. 30 years old versus 31 years old. Again, this is this one's at flyweight. Yeah, the other one's strawweight, which we know Bellator does not have a strawweight division, and it's at amateur anyway. And we know that it's probably just Benson's pull, you know.
Benson's wife, yeah.
And Maria Henderson, she has had 1 fight. She made her amateur debut in LFA, got the unanimous decision win 7 months ago against Amanda Mitchell, and she'll be taking on Colette Santiago, who is 0-2 as an amateur. Her last fight was about a month and a half ago, 2 months, when she lost via TKO, and her other loss was also TKO. So they're kind of setting her up a little bit, which is what it is. Interestingly enough, though, I think that according to Tapology here, Santiago's last fight she weighed in at 142 pounds. So she's expected to make 115 apparently, Steve. So that'll be fun. The weigh-ins will be fun for that. And seeing her and Benson fight on the same card, that's always a fun dynamic. We've seen this with Bellator before with Emily King and Jason King. Didn't go well for Jason. Emily knocked off Ava Knight that night, but we'll see how it goes this time. So look forward to those two. Obviously, there's more to build off of with Sumiko and Randy Field. Those two are prospects who have a division. We'll see either of them again. At least Sumiko has been Bellator all the way so far.
And like Jimmy's saying, it's really weird. Bellator doesn't have a 115 division, but yet they have fights.
Yeah, they just do that. They just do that. And Rue, great question here. He says Drake's going to Phoenix. Will you drop by Fight Ready, Cejudo's gym? I don't know how far away it is from where
Rising it
I'll
up.
be. You did it. So, I don't know. I didn't even think about that, Rue. That's a good idea.
It's pretty close.
It'll probably be fairly busy. I'm gonna only be there for 4 days, compared to my normal 6 days for UFC shows. But if I have time and they let me in, I would love to speak with some of them. Henry actually seems like a pretty friendly and accessible guy. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I can talk to some people. See what Whaley's doing. How amazing would that be? But I didn't even think of that. So thank you, Rue. We'll see what we can do. Yeah, Jimmy points out what you said. Bellator doesn't have a 115, but they have fights sometimes at 115. Very weird. Just, they have their gals.
It's odd.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going to see Maria Henderson versus Carrie Melendez
At some point. Hey, then you rematch Benson and Gilbert on the same card.
How fucking wild. How fucking wild would that be?
Goodness gracious. Yeah, so that is. Oh, those are the two fights. Bellator 268 should be a pretty fun card as it's going head to head.
Nemkov,
the man, and Anderson versus Bader should be pretty awesome too.
Yeah, that's a good fight, but Nemkov.
You don't like it? Yes, of course, Nemkov. Poor Anglicus. Anglicus.
Yeah, it was originally going to be Rumble Johnson, and
don't remind me, dude. That was one of the fights I was most looking forward to this year. Oh, yeah. But sad face. All right. UFC Vegas 40, same night as Bellator 268. So bummer that I will miss that live, as a lot of these fights I am pretty excited for. The women in particular, I couldn't really tell you too much about what else is on the card. It is, again, not a great one, just like last week on paper. But hey, these cards deliver. I know you guys don't think so last week, but here we are with this one, kicking things off. Strawweight division, Steve, an actual division.
It's true. Ariane Carnellosi versus Estella Nunez. It's a decent fight, you would think, right? They're both all right fighters.
Yes, they are. Ariane Carnellosi, Sauriso, of course, she is coming off that wild banger to open UFC 261 against Liang Na. Remember that one, Steve? That was some good shit. Get the crowd going. The first event back with full crowd for the UFC, right? And then Estella Nunez has not fought in a damn long time, my friend. 3 years ago in 2 months since she was in one championship. Her only loss is to Angela Lee. Not a bad loss right there.
But it's so long.
Very long time. I think she had... I think it was USADA things. I think it was USADA issues. She was supposed to be in the UFC sooner. Maybe she had that too, but
Did she have a USADA issue?
I'm pretty sure Chuck knows if he's still here.
I don't know.
But I know that she was supposed to debut sooner than this. Either way, here she is now against Carnellosi, who is 1-1 in the UFC. Angela Hill lost in her debut. That was from a cut, right? Yeah, Dr. Stoppage. And then, of course, like I said, the crazy battle with Liang Na, which in that fight, Steve, she had a herniated disc, was in a whole lot of pain. You will have known this if you saw my interview with her after the fight. Shameless plug. But yeah, she was pretty compromised and still pulled through in that one. So now that she is, assuming she is fully healthy and good to go, I think she should be even better, which is a pretty scary thought because she was dealing with the herniated disc a couple times before that fight. I think before she got to the UFC, I think was when she said she had some issues. But obviously, she is an absolute tank. Probably one of the most jacked strawweights in the division, Steve. She is a powerhouse. We saw that on display against Liang as she dropped some bombs to finish that fight. Got, stabbed with the straight right out the gate in that fight, put her down. But after that, it was all over the place. And taking on Estella, it's just like, man, we really don't know what we're going to get out of her. That's a long time, man. That is a long
But like you
time.
said, she did fight Angela Lee. You know, I mean, sure she lost,
Yeah,
but
she earned her title shot. She beat Yamaguchi, which is a very good win.
yeah,
Of course. And that was 5 years ago for that, though. I mean, she
ah,
has not been very active at
Chuck
all.
said Estella popped as soon as she signed. Brazil is normal.
All right, that's what I thought. So, and then there's that. Now she'll be coming back clean, and assuming maybe she wasn't clean before this. So, a lot of question marks with Estella Nunez, and
Yeah,
simply because of
even
all of
more
those
now, I
factors,
guess.
as good as she looked in her wins, and I mean, she didn't look too great against Angela Lee. Of course, got submitted. Angela Lee does that. Angela Lee's very good, but there's just no way I can pick Estella Nunez, all things considered. I don't even really need to go too in depth about how they match up, but we know the power favors Carnellosi. She hits
Yeah, for sure.
very hard.
She's a
She
truck.
a strong top game, as we saw against Liang Na, who Liang Na is a very good grappler as well, good wrestler. And again, that was like not 100% by any means Carnellosi. She said that, like, I think she went to the hospital right after winning. Like, she did the interview with us, and then after that, she like had to lay on the ground, and they had to get her out of there because she was in so much pain. And then she had surgery, and she was still in Jacksonville for like 2 weeks after for a while. So it's pretty nuts that she went through that war and won it. So if she is fully better now, no reason to think that she won't be even more dangerous. It's a pretty tall task for Estella in this situation. Maybe a punishment a bit. I mean, she could, of course, surprise us, but I don't know how you can trust that, Steve, with all these things in consideration.
It's been so long. Like, how do you pick a fighter who is not fought in 3 years? And then, as Rue's saying, I think Estelle actually cracked Lee with the right hand, but 5 years ago. Come on, son. Like 5 years ago, you were in a title fight. So long ago. That's
And was
that's
maybe
ages.
cheating.
That's
Was
ages.
maybe cheating.
That's ages in MMA.
Yeah.
But also, she's still only 29.
Right. So
So she
that is
was
something.
24 when she had a title fight. So that means that Angela Lee was like 16.
That was definitely early on
Yeah.
for Angela Lee. I don't even remember if that was a title fight. That's how long ago it was. Um,
Yeah, I don't think it was. I mean, 5 years ago, Lee was in a title fight. Title. She didn't have the title 5 years ago, right?
it's been so long. I couldn't tell you. I don't think so. I think it was on her way to the title because she beat Yamaguchi for the title. I don't fucking know, dude. Timeline's all over the place. Either way, I'm going to take Carnellosi in this one. I think she'll get another finish. She has been a finisher throughout her whole career for the most part. I'm going to say round one. I think she's going to look even better than she did last time out. I mean, not
Yeah.
that she even looked that great last time, but she did get through that war with Liang Na and got the finish. So I think Carnellosi first round TKO. Just a rough one for Estella to come back to.
I mean, yeah, it's tough to say Nunez isn't gonna lose, but it's kind of easy to say that she's probably gonna lose badly, you know,
Okay, go on.
because it's been so long. Poor thing.
Ruse says, wish Carnellosi beat Hill back in the day. Just had to throw that in,
That was a
didn't you?
long time ago.
Well, yeah, because I think it was after that one. That was 2 years ago. Then
Yeah.
yeah, she was out because the herniated disc thing. It was still she's had like 2 issues with that. So all good now. I can't imagine fighting with like, oh, back pain is the worst pain, dude. It's not fun. Not
Definitely.
fun. But how you taking Soriso in this one, Steve?
Yeah. So Carnelosi's gonna end it probably round two.
All right. There we go.
We're both Carnelosi. For you,
Yeah.
round one. For me, round two. But I mean, I just don't see Nunez getting out of this fight.
Yeah, kind of the easy pick, but it is what it
It's
is.
been so long.
Yeah, plus the drug things I think should be considered. But Scott is asking, how can Bellator's event numbers be so in line with the UFC's? That's crazy, right? 268 for Bellator, and the UFC is about to have 267. What am I missing? Bellator names every single card their numbers, Scott. So like UFC doesn't count fight nights. They've actually had like over 500. That's the thing, is that all Bellator shows are their numbers. I mean, except for some. They have some little exceptions, but that's why, because UFC only numbers pay-per-views. That's why.
You know, that kind of bothers the UFC a little bit, though.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
Drake, those are some bitchy ass people.
Pancrase is at like 300.
Oh, Pancrase has been around for fucking ages.
40 years. Yeah. I don't know. All right, moving on though. To a fight that has gone very much under the radar. Steve?
Sijara Eubanks returns against Luana Carolina.
Let me fix that. Sorry.
Yeah, I people just are not talking about Sijara Eubanks' return. I think people are over it with Sijara at this point.
After how brilliant she looked last time against Elise Reed.
Yeah,
Which, yes,
that's probably why.
Was Elise Reed.
Because they're like, who's this?
But I'm still surprised though that they buried her on this card after that performance, right? Like, obviously we knew that was going to happen. If that didn't happen, that would have been a bad job by Sijara. Like, anything less than what she did would have been not a good win, but she did exactly what she should have done. And at flyweight, which was the division she has always looked her best at, she made the weight comfortably, which was a problem. You would think they'd give her a little bit more love, and against Luana Carolina, who still kind of have a lot to be desired here with her. I think 28 years old, had the knee bar, lost to Lipsky, and then a very close battle with Botelho afterwards to get the split decision. I think that this is a pretty tough matchup for her, though, because as we know, jiu-jitsu black belt is Sijara Eubanks. Looked a lot more violent and motivated when she was on point with the weight last time out. And yes, against Elise Reed. Carolina, much bigger, more fit for the division. Still, Sijara is pretty goddamn talented, and people obviously forget it a lot. She's just had such a roller coaster of kind of outside factors, I think, playing into it for her. So, is what it is. But if she performs the best that we know she can at flyweight, which was almost champion, Steve, then she should not have very much trouble in this matchup. Obviously, she's going to want to fight on the inside, not fight from distance, because Carolina has the length advantages, 5'6" to 5'4", which is funny because Sijara was at bantamweight. And then the 69-inch reach, just 2 inches on both categories. But Carolina, good at striking from the distance and in the clinch. She can do some damage there. Because she's got the Muay Cow. Is that what you would say, Rain? I got you. She's got that going for her. But yeah, Sijara is a brawler. She's pretty goddamn tough. I don't think she's been TKO'd before, right? Unless I'm forgetting something. She's willing to throw down. Had that crazy one with Raging Panda, but got it done. Hit the takedowns in that one. I think that Sijara in theory, should not have too much trouble taking Carolina down, who actually missed weight in their last fight. I forgot about that, as you see right there. I think Sijara will eat whatever she needs to get inside, get this fight down, and then from there, do some damage. I think she'll finish, man. If she looks as determined and, physically healthy as she did, making the cut last time, I think we'll continue to see this momentum rolling. I'm going to take Sarge by first-round submission, man. I believe in her.
Okay. Well, I mean, she's got to get it to the ground, and Carolina is kind of a tough one.
If Lipsky could submit you, you fucking know Eubanks can.
Yeah.
As much as I love the violence queen.
Yeah, I suppose so. But Sujara needs to keep this shit standing and just fucking knock her out, man. I would love to see that from Sarge.
I mean, that would be great to show, versatility and like overall danger. And I mean, I think she could. She throws some bombs.
She's powerful, man. She hits hard. Sure, she's a jiu-jitsu black belt, but she can fucking end fights with her hands, with her striking. I would like to see that from Sarge. Does she do it? I don't know. She's 36 though, man. You know, she's getting up there in age.
Yeah. Well, I mean, she hasn't shown any signs of slowing down yet, so
she hasn't. I want to take Sarge by knockout.
All right, do it.
Round 3.
Ooh, I like it. I think if it goes that far, it's going to be a pretty fun fight. I think it has potential there, but yeah. When Sarge is on, she is a tough out. So Scott says Sarge is great on the mic. Yeah, she definitely isn't shy. He always loved to see that.
She doesn't give a fuck.
Stamina says folks are rightfully skeptical of whether Sarge is back at 125 for the long haul. Yeah, it is fair. Luana isn't very good though. This is her fight to lose. Yeah, I mean, again, she hasn't impressed me too much in the UFC just yet. And even in her Contender Series win, which got her the contract there. There was a Cachoeira one as well. That was a solid one, but not very memorable. Obviously, I forgot about it. So, but the Maybelline Lima one in the Contender Series was the one I was referring to, which was it was all right, but not contract worthy necessarily. Chuck says Eubanks beats a late notice strawweight. Reaction is meh. Mana does the same. Heavy praise. Well, it's the flashiness, you know that. Chuck, come on now. Rue says, is this Sarge against another girl with one fight in the UFC? No, as I just ran him down there, she is 2-1 in the UFC. Has the win on Contender Series to get in Brazilian Contender Series. That is. And Rain says, yes, Moicao clinch knee fighter. You the Mandrick. I appreciate you, Rain. Thank you. You the man for pointing out things. Rue says, anyone can hit hard. I have precision. Israel Adesanya powers and everything. Very true. That is, of course, true. But I don't think these two will need to worry about. I don't think we'll see high precision in this one. Let's put it that way. So if we do, I would say maybe Caroline would be a little bit more precise than Sarge. But hey, I mean, she's been working the jab and her boxing since she's gotten to the UFC. As time's gone on, she's improved her boxing pretty good. But yeah, no, that's a fair quote. We'll see how it goes. Either way, I think she'll get the submission. As I said, Steve is rooting for that knockout.
Just want to see it.
Could see her. She's definitely the heavier striker.
Yeah.
Heavier puncher, whatever you want to call it. So, all right. Well, speaking of Manon Fior, it is time. One of my absolute favorite prospects right now. Scott already mentioned her. Chuck already mentioned her. This fight is happening still. It's supposed to happen at 266, Steve. I'm just glad it's happening at all. I fucking wish I got to see it live because I was there for that. But no, it got pushed back to now. Better late than never.
Yeah. Manon Fior versus Mayra Bueno Silva. A flyweight fight. Fior is very fucking legit.
Yeah. And like we didn't even need to see those performances that we did before to know that. Like if you've seen her career prior, she has looked very, very good. And her only loss is to Leah McCourt at like 139 pounds. She is a flyweight, and she actually did pretty damn good in that fight. Leah only beat her. Leah only beat her by pretty much laying on her. So Manon Fior she's not practically undefeated, but she is at 125 and not against Leah McCourt. So silly thing to say, I know, but here we are again, Steve. Do we feel that this fight will go? Do we feel different about it? I mean, it was supposed to happen a couple weeks ago. I don't think that changes too much. I still think it has war potential.
It doesn't change anything to me.
Yeah. Scott says, the first time I watched Manon fight, she flashed on my screen just like Gaethje. She has it for me anyway. Dude, I agree, man. I've been on the train for a bit now. She is very talented. And Scott pointed out as well, that was a bad judge's decision versus McCourt. For sure, you called it, right, Drake? She wanted nothing to do with men on the feet. Yep. That was completely the tale of that. Exactly what you said there. So impressive, that she could hang heavier like that. But against MBS, we know that she is pretty dangerous everywhere, Steve. We remember that war that she had with Marina Moroz, who we mentioned earlier. Her only loss then before that, her last fight was the draw against Montana De La Rosa. Did pretty damn good in that fight, but you know how the scores can be.
Yeah, that was not a good call.
Yeah, and then before that, armbarred Mero Barella, who terrible fight IQ in that fight. MBS can hang on the feet. She can throw down as well as submit you, dangerous on the ground. We know that Manon typically does not like to go to the ground, but she does chain her takedowns very well behind her striking and combinations when she feels the need to. Probably wouldn't be smart to do it in this one. Could she survive? I'm sure. But again, wouldn't be a smart choice. So why do it? Just hang on the feet, strike from the distance, put things together as you do. I think that Mayra will want to close the distance and get it up against the cage, try and get it to the ground. I think, again, she can fight on the feet for sure. She is good there. But just think, Fiorot is the beast for a reason. I think she's going to the top. Don't want to say champ just yet, but reminds me a little bit of a maybe more violent Holly Holm in some ways.
She's like 2 fights away, man.
I mean, this would be her third UFC win in a row, and if she can finish it, she put away Leonardo very nicely, and then of course Tabitha Ricci. If she can finish Silva, that would be a big deal.
That's what I'm saying is if she finishes Silva, which I mean she very well could. It's not out of the realm at all. She's like 2 fights away, Drake, from contention.
Well, yeah, you got to give her somebody ranked after this one, right? Like maybe floating around 10, and then of course she wins that one, then top 10. Be interesting to see, but she has to get past Silva, who, Steve, I know when we broke this fight down the first time, I think you went with Silva. I think you thought she'd pull it off. I thought you did.
Oh, maybe I did.
Contrarian.
I don't know. Maybe Silva's tough as shit, but Manon just hits very hard.
And it's always multiple things coming at you, right? She's not much of a one shot, shot pot shotter or whatever you want to say. She's always got multiple strikes coming your way.
Yeah, and she covers them up.
Right.
They're very like tricky. I don't know. Silva's very good though. So I think this is probably the toughest fight for Manon so far in the UFC. Yeah, the toughest fight. But she probably pulls it off. I don't know if she will get a knockout here. She's a favorite, as you can see there on the line, minus 200, which is actually kind of surprising, to be honest. But I mean,
I think it was closer for 266. Actually, they've widened since they were supposed to fight.
Yeah. But, so I think it goes to decision for the French lady.
All right. Yeah, I'm on the Fiorot hype train. I'm sticking with it. But yeah, I think Silva's going to put up a hell of a fight. Maybe even win a round. If she decides to try and take things down, maybe she can do it and win some points there. But I think that Fiorot is just going to be offering up too much, doing more damage with more output. She has a high output with a lot of pop to it. So Silva, she's gonna have to match that, right? And I just don't think that's quite what she is capable of doing. And Go says, watch for Manon to use the inside low kick off the open side or hand fight since she is a southpaw. There you go. You heard it here.
Love the low kick.
It says Silva is open for low kicks due to her movement. There you go. Mr. Lee saying something in French, I believe.
Oui, oui, mademoiselle.
Okay, there you are. Stamina says if Manon finishes MBS, she's got the same sort of record as O'Neal. She needs a fair bit more in the books first. High on her as I quietly am. There you go. Stamina's on the train as well, sitting in the back. Ghost says Silva has to close the distance to get her against the fence. McCourt did it, but not likely since Silva doesn't have creative ways to close the distance. There you go. He says also, and watch for the rear leg double attack for Manon. All right. Ghost pointing things out. Steve and I both on the waving the French flag in this one.
Yeah.
No surprise there. But again, I would not be shocked if Silva halts the train for a little bit. But I'm a believer. So I won't be doing that just yet. Fun fight, though. I'm very excited to see it. Should be a great one. And that leads us to our main event, Steve. What a journey it's been to get here.
Wild, man. It's wild. So Aspen Ladd has stepped in for Holly Holm against Norma Dumont in the featherweight division. Will Aspen Ladd make 145? That is the question. Fuck. I hope so. I mean, Jesus, what a mess this has become. But props to Aspen Ladd for stepping in, taking a fight. She knows that she was kind of on the hot seat there, and if she quietly comes in, beats Norma Dumont, I think all of that will be behind her. But she has to beat Norma Dumont.
So I want to highlight something and shout out to the man, James Lynch, of course. He spoke to Jim West, I think it was today. At least he released the interview like right before we went on air.
I saw that.
I watched it, and very frustrating to hear that no, they said the UFC hasn't told him to stay at 145 or like anything like that. They're fine with her trying to go to 135 again. So it sounds like she will try to continue to be a bantamweight, which, we'll see how this weight cut goes. Just a couple, 2 weeks after, or what was it? Was that fight supposed to happen last week? I don't even know. My timeline's all messed up. Crazy. Absolutely. No, it was 2 weeks ago.
No, it was 2 weeks ago. The Macy fight was 2 weeks ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. It doesn't seem like the healthiest option, but here we are. Now she's taking on Norma. She hasn't fought since that Yana Kunitskaya fight, which was nearly 2 years ago now. ACL tear in that one. Of course, we know that at this stage, probably safe to say Aspen Ladd's the better fighter. She's fought much better competition, but that was clearly a while ago. Norma Dumont, just fresh off a fantastic decision over a fantastic performance against Felicia Spencer. Definitely should not have been a split decision. That's why I was all tripped up there. Very clear cut, great performance. And then before that, looked great against Ashley Evans Smith as well. At bantamweight, Norma Dumont, also someone who's been pushed around in terms of divisions. I fucking hate it, but it's what we're working with.
If they would just get rid of the featherweight division altogether,
all our problems would be solved.
Yeah, we wouldn't have all of this fuckery going on with, bantamweights going up and fighting at featherweight.
Yeah. Yep. That is the truth, but for now we have to deal with it. And I have still been a firm believer in Norma Dumont when many others were not. I told you guys that she would beat Felicia Spencer. You all laughed at me. I remember this. And now here we are in, I would probably say a more favorable matchup than Holly Holm, because obviously Holly is a very, very unique fighter to compete against. Aspen Ladd coming off all the controversy and ridiculousness that she is, the layoff, all this stuff. I think it is fair to say that Norma is the better striker of the two, but then on the ground, Aspen is a very strong wrestler. She can punch your face into oblivion, as she has done against some of the toughest fighters in the division. Tanya Evinger, Sajara, which that was not a TKO, but she still beat her up on the ground. That was a pretty crazy war, actually. On the feet, Sajara was lighting her up, and if she didn't get the takedowns, Sajara was going to win that, actually. Lena Landsberg, Yana Kunitskaya, as mentioned. She was able to finish them, so pretty impressive. Could she do that to Norma? She could, but I don't know. Norma's training and living now in Las Vegas, Syndicate MMA, all these great people. Norma has looked very good. She's got the Sonda background. You love to see that. And then also jiu-jitsu in the back pocket. Not too terrible on the ground. This fight, I think, a little bit similar in the sense of last week's main event, where on the ground is where Aspen will want to be most comfortably, whereas Norma will want to be on the feet most comfortably for each of them. I don't necessarily want to call it a flat out striker versus grappler like last week, because I don't think that's the case. They've both been rounding out their games very nicely over the years. Aspen Ladd, we haven't seen in a while. Who knows if her striking will be significantly improved?
You would think in 2 years it's improved.
You would hope. I mean, since she got absolutely iced by GDR in 16 seconds, but that's GDR.
I mean, come on. Jermaine Durandamy is
I know.
Probably top 2 strikers. We've talked about this.
Right. But again, she was also losing the stand-up battle against Sajara in that fight. She was willing to throw down, but she was taking some big shots. And then here against Norma, I don't think we're going to see that kind of wildness, at least not from Norma. She's pretty calculated, puts things together pretty well. This is a very interesting fight, Steve, because I think that you look at it where each fighter is at this current stage in their career. I think Aspen Ladd should be the one to win. But I'm sticking with Norma Dumont in this one. I am on this hype train as well. I really like what we've seen from her. And yes, there's still a lot to be desired, but she looked very good against the much larger Felicia Spencer, who did not really have too much success getting her down. And yes, I think it's fair to say Aspen is a much better wrestler than Felicia, at least in terms of getting takedowns. Yes, Felicia's good on the ground, but I like me some Norma Dumont, man. I think she can really do some damage if she fights smart in this one. And I mean, just how is Aspen physically going to be in there with all this dramatic stuff happening to her body? Like,
Drake, that's literally the biggest question going through my mind when I think about this fight is what will Aspen Ladd look like? Because remember when she missed that weight against GDR, against Jermaine Durandamy, she looked pretty bad. And that was
pretty damn bad 2 weeks ago, too.
Exactly. It's kind of scary, man. I don't know what Aspen Ladd we're gonna see. I don't know if she's gonna be in good shape. I don't know if we don't know like how's she gonna feel? How's she gonna carry herself in the fight? It's tough. It's tough to call after what we saw just 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That was scary, man. She was literally shaking at the scale. She was shaking. You hate to see that shit. It's just tough. It's tough. I think that Aspen Ladd is the better fighter out of the two.
More proven in her career for sure.
I want to pick Aspen Ladd. I will pick Aspen Ladd.
You're really thinking about it.
It's just the factors. The factors going. I think Aspen Ladd is the better fighter. I think the thing that holds Aspen Ladd back is her body. Like, what's going to happen? We don't know is going to happen? Is she going to be healthy? Because if she's unhealthy going in this fight too, then it's not going to be good for her.
Yeah, and Centro points that out. He says, Lad nearly dying on the scale will help Norma KO her. Like in the GDR fight, we are going to see Lad balloon to 170. Rain says he's choosing Norma just because I believe everything Tate said about her. Her being Lad. And then Ghost says, how does one walk around at 165 and expect to make 135 or 145? Well, Ghost, come on now. I mean, that's what Cyborg and Megan Anderson do. And I'm sure others such as Julia Budd walk around at that weight.
Yeah, but Aspen Ladd isn't like 6 foot.
That is true. But, he was very broad with this comment. But, yeah, no, that's a good point. What's right here? How tall is she? 5'6"? So
6. It's pretty crazy that the odds are like even.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of happy to see that because that's fair. I think these are pretty dead on here. Some respect to Norma Dumont, who, there wasn't much of that going into that Felicia fight. Really turned people's opinions around a bit, which is good because that was a very, very good performance from her. And then, obviously all the issues with Aspen. So with that in mind, I don't know. As much as I like what Centro pointed out about the weight issues helping her be more susceptible to a knockout, I just feel like I kind of struggle to see Norma pull that off, but it's possible. So my safe pick is going to be Norma unanimous decision, but I like that he mentions that. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see, right? So how are you taking Aspen then, Steve? Did you say decision as well? And this is 5 rounds, actually. So you know what? I didn't even think about that. I think, Norma could finish it in one of those 4 and 5s then. I'll go with that. I'll say TKO round 4.
I'm going Aspen Ladd by ground and pound. She's such a monster, man. Once she gets her opponent to the ground, it's pretty much a wrap.
It has been, yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Unless you're Sajara Eubanks.
Yeah, I mean, but Sajara Eubanks is pretty much unstoppable. Like she can't be beat. Very hard to knock her out or even finish her in any way.
Yeah.
But
she beat Mackenzie Durn in grappling, you guys. Don't forget.
It's true. That's crazy, huh?
Mm.
But Aspen Ladd, yeah, she's got to get it to the ground and use her ground and pound, which is very fantastic. She's pretty violent and mean.
Yep, that is true. And I guess we should also point out too how with Norma's fight against Felicia, that was also short notice. And I'm just now remembering this, but when I spoke to her, she said that she was still feeling the effects similar to kind of what Aspen Ladd might go through. She was feeling the effects of her weight cut from the Ashley Evans Smith fight, or no, she was supposed to fight Blanchfield right before that, but then that fight fell out because she had her own weight issues. So she did that weight cut, and then she went and took the Felicia Spencer fight. Very similar, actually, how this fight has come together. But then she took that one and was still feeling the effects of it and was in a lot of pain throughout the fight. And in the 3rd round, she was feeling like quitting despite winning. So she wasn't even 100% for that Felicia Spencer fight and was not happy with the performance. So now having had to train for this whole camp, despite a different opponent, at 145 pounds without really depleting herself, Norma could come in even better. And then, like I said, with the effects of the weight cut, could very well affect Aspen, as we've been touched on this whole time. So that's a little factor that just hit me. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's weird how this all came together, but it's pretty compelling. And my big question still is, Steve, why not Macy?
Yeah.
Why not Macy? Who got gypped out of this whole thing?
And Macy legit won the tough house at 145 in that division.
Yep. But
So you know that she can make that weight. I mean, she's probably better at 145. To be honest, she's really good. She looked great in the Ultimate Fighter.
yeah, that she did.
I don't know what
Scott.
is happening with Macy.
Yeah, I hope she was at least offered, because if she wasn't, that's pretty bullshit. Scott says, I'd take Aspen if she could somehow avoid media day. Gonna be a rough one. This fight is so interesting. I didn't see Norma doing what she did versus Spencer, so what do I know? Nothing. Well, go check
Yeah,
it
I
out,
don't see
Scott,
her
because it
missing
was a great
media
performance.
day. She's literally the headliner.
Yeah, that would be, oh man, if they allow her to skip it, that'd be silly. Stay on it says Macy's Pride is keeping her at phantom weight, pure and simple. Is that Ghost Phantom's weight? What are we getting at here? Because you know what time it is. But all right.
So we are differing in this fight.
Yeah, that we are.
You picked Dumont and I picked Aspen Ladd.
And that's the only one, right? So
Out of all of them, yeah.
very rarely.
I think you wanted me to pick Silva for some reason.
I could have swore you picked her last time, is why. I swear you did. So,
Maybe I did. I don't know.
yeah.
Things changed. It's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. Centro Wing is hyped, rightfully so. Phantom Punch.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kool-Aid guy.
Not oh, yeah, like Macho Man. Oh, yeah. Like Kool-Aid.
Right, yeah. Oh, yeah. I haven't seen the commercial in a while. Give me a break. Stamina says Phantom weight is 135 because it's a fucking ghost town in that division. All right, fair enough. But either way, let's get on. Phantom Punch breakdown. Number 13 coming at you. Can you guess who? I just put it out on Twitter, but it is the champ. Today we have Emily Dakote. Gardenia is our highlighted fighter this week. Coming in fresh off of one of the best knockouts you'll see all year. James says, love the Phantom Punch breakdown. I binged these like 2 weeks ago. I feel like you tell us that every week, man. Appreciate you so much. So let's get into it, shall we? With the championship masterclass. Ooh.
Yeah, boy.
Get yourselves ready. Get your popcorn ready as we close out the show here with a masterclass, as we said. Many remember the highlight reel knockout. However, Dakote did a wonderful job of varying her counters in a... oh, that was quick. She did a wonderful job of varying her counters and establishing a foundation with her striking in the short duration of this fight. The jab can be a very useful tool since it can stabilize and reset the opposition, but it becomes completely useless when you do it from too far away and back up at the same time. Really pawn was Danielle Taylor. Dakota throws a step up, inside low kick, which creates a threat. Right away with the inside low kick from Ghost. Flaccid double jab with head angling forward is the beginning of the end since Dakota recognized this pattern through her high guard. Remember this position. Step up inside low kick, draws out check. The check is a good defense for the inside low kick. However, it stops the user from moving, and user is now on one leg. Outside parry over a half committal jab loads up the rear straight and rear pivot. Rear straight punch Rear straight just lands while the opponent throws an off-balance looping hook counter. The hook counter is off balance since the lead leg is elevating while the hook is being thrown. Dakota pulls back and remains defensively responsible with her high guard. Defensively responsible. I love that wordage. Dakota wisely varies her counter to the opponent's uneducated jab by throwing the rear straight to the floating rib. Rear pivot generates power.
Boom, right on the rib.
Dakota again varies up the counter to the predictable and uneducated jab by throwing a step-up lead head kick. Bink.
Bink? Arlene Blanco over here?
Hooking off the jab is an underutilized combo and great against the high guard. Unfortunately, since the opponent steps forward instead of changing position at an angle, this great move has been rendered useless. Good rear counter attempt misses by Dakota, but remains balanced while the opponent is out of position. Attempting techniques to see if it works. No foundation. Just throw the inside low kick at the wrong distance and hope it lands. Dakota throws an inside low kick at the correct distance, but is checked. The opponent reaction of checking has become a foundation to build off the inside low kick. Opponent attacks with the cross hook combo on a straight line. Very honest striking. Rear post off the high guard pushes the opponent off balance. Step up motion draws out the opponent's check, but the direction of the kick is high. This is a great example of building off the foundation of the step up inside low kick.
Of course it does.
Opponent never once threw a lead leg push kick in this fight, yet has decided to knee slide to see if it forces a reaction. Dakota doesn't react since there's no threat of danger. No threat or danger.
No, because it's Danielle Taylor.
Focused on the lead hook threat, Dakota maintains her position since there's no threat of the lead push kick.
Looks like she has like Superman lasers coming out of her eyes.
There you go. Rear straight connects over the top of predictable hook. Same position from earlier in the round. The pivot generates power. Smack. Bang.
Yeah,
Pow.
that hit her hella hard.
A moderately intelligent fighter would probably think, that was painful. Maybe I should do a better job hiding my attacks so I don't get cracked like that again.
Moderately intelligent. That's fucked up.
Wow. Shade.
That's fucked up, Ghost.
That's fucked up, dude.
Please, y'all don't watch this.
I know. Yikes. Dakota goes back to the inside low kick to stop the opponent from moving and to keep the opponent honest. This was a great performance. My goodness.
Yeah, it really was. But, I mean, again, it's Danielle Taylor. Like, there's not a whole lot, you know?
But, hey, a lot of people have not been able to do this, Steve.
Yeah,
that is the thing.
I mean,
Whaley couldn't do this.
It's true.
You know, think about that.
Crazy.
Defends the low kick by using the hip hinge to retract the lead leg. And that is not a knock on Whaley, you guys. Do not eat me alive. I'm just saying. Look at Dakota is the only one to finish Taylor in this fashion. Beautiful rear low kick counter to the back of the thigh off the missed inside low kick. She's just got a very awkward style. But Dakota figured her out beautifully.
Yeah,
A masterclass, as Go says.
She had a great game plan going into this fight.
And it sure paid off.
Yeah.
Coming up soon in a matter of moments here. You can just feel it. Step up motion causes the opponent to react with a check while the kick goes high to the arms. And So Hyam also couldn't do that. Let me point that out as well. Just
it's true, man.
Out.
Like Danielle Taylor's been in there with a lot of great fighters.
Yeah.
That didn't finish her.
Mm-mm. Dakota used a Wonder Boy step-up style feint, but to her opponent, it just looks like another inside low kick is coming. Prepares the check. Side kick lands on the solar plexus while the opponent is standing on one leg because of a low kick that never came. Yeah.
Yeah.
Filth.
That's so fucking dirty.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
She was locked in, man. Like, just watching this at this pace is like...
kind of like her perfect fight, you know?
Oh, yeah. Even though the inside low kick is checked, tactical failure, going back to the inside low kick is a good long-term strategy since Dakota can build off the check reaction from her opponent if the fight hadn't ended early. That's great. Because here it comes. Dakota sees the flaccid jab attempt by the opponent and begins to load the rear straight.
There's the flaccid again.
The flaccidity. Powerful shot to the floating rib. Step and pivot generates power. Last week we had crotches. This week we have flaccidity. Opponent attempts pointless feints while circling. Feints are supposed to look like a threat of a real attack, but opponent keeps backing up while feinting. Quite bizarre. More backing up while feinting. Dakota does a great job closing the distance while the opponent backs up towards the fence. Another shot to the ribs there. Dakota maintains her stance while the opponent telegraphs her jab to hook combo. Dakota recognizes that the opponent is using the same pattern of attacking on a straight line while dipping the head towards the rear hand. All of Dakota's body weight is behind this beautiful right cross counter since she pivots her rear leg and transfers her weight to the lead leg. Second time this has happened.
Look at Taylor just fucking dead.
Dakota bounces into southpaw to regain her balance. Oh, God, it's coming. Recognizes open stance situation since the opponent is in orthodox while Dakota is in southpaw. Pivot of the lead foot preps the rear high kick. Oh, lead arm swing and pivot increases the speed of this beautiful high kick. I just got chills.
Filthy.
I just got chills calling that. My God. Holy shit.
That's
wow.
So nasty.
Let's see that again.
Such a nasty fucking kick.
I legit got chills from calling that. That was crazy. Oh, man. Dakota's opponent is the most risk-averse fighter in MMA. She just tries to survive instead of fighting. Her opponent's entire strategy revolves around not getting knocked out. So let's really appreciate this highlight reel knockout.
This was more trolling and talking shit about Danielle Taylor than it was giving praise to Emily Dakota.
No. A good balance, a fine balance. Dakota's striking summary. Dakota did a great job of varying her counters off the opponent's jab. She would throw a counter cross, a straight right to the floating ribs, or a step up high kick. She also created a foundation off the inside low kick. She kept throwing the inside low kick even though it was being checked. Knowing that reaction, Dakota would kick her opponent's arms with a step up high kick while the opponent was on one leg to off balance the opponent, or she would step up with a Wonder Boy style side kick. This is a unique triple attack from just the lead leg step up that more fighters should be using. Clearly. More of the strikes Dakota threw had some power, yet her opponent decided not to make any adjustments. What are some of your theories to why Dakota's opponent did not respect the power of the strikes that were being thrown at her? Here are some possible theories. A, bad fight IQ. B, overconfidence in her chin's ability to take strikes. C, since she beat Penne, Ruiz, yeah, forgot to mention that too, and Aguilar, she thought Dakota would be an easier fight. D, other. Well, here we are at that point of the segment. Steve, I don't know about you, but I feel it's a little bit of a mixture of all three of those options.
Yeah, I mean, especially in this fight, like you haven't seen like a very bad fight IQ from Danielle Taylor in her fights, say against like Whaley or whatever. But in this one specifically, horrible fight IQ, terrible, very very bad. And Dakota was just like on her game the whole fight. She went in there. You can tell that she went in there, had a game plan. She knew what Daniel Taylor was going to do or not do, and she was able to take advantage of it. And that's why you saw such a beautiful head kick knockout.
Yeah, very well said. And I think that it has helped maybe to just kind of see from Dakota's side and really analyze the career of Danielle Taylor. Whereas with Danielle, like he mentions, and what is this kind of see, since she has been in there with so many, talented fighters and made it either close enough or beat them in certain cases. It's like she wasn't worried about changing things up. Like I said with Mackenzie Durn earlier, you're not going to learn or feel maybe the same necessity of making certain improvements or adjustments until you suffer a really bad loss. So hopefully, in theory, Danielle Taylor should learn a lot from this. Should.
You would think that she would we'll bounce back. You would think that she would bounce back from it and maybe be more active rather than be defensive.
Yeah.
And her defense really didn't work out against Dakota in this fight. I mean, obviously, she got head kicked to hell.
But also, it's one of those things where, like, you've already been fighting for so long and fighting this way. Like, is it too late to change it? I mean, it's never really too late, but a lot easier said than done, right? So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've talked about, we've covered Danielle Taylor, her fights. We've talked about her fights, broken down her fights, previewed them and whatnot. And she's just a tough opponent for any fighter. This crazy props to Dakota and her team though for doing what she did against
a very tough checkers in that one.
Yeah, for sure.
So very nice. And I think that this was probably the first Fan of Punch breakdown where he asked a question about the opponent at the end. So that's kind of funny, making history. But holy shit, I have thoroughly enjoyed these last two Fan of Punch breakdowns. I enjoy all of them, of course, but these last two, like, give Invictus some fucking love, you guys, because they obviously got some absolute killers. Jessica Del Boni last week, the maybe uncrowned champ, however you would like to say, one of the best atomweights in the world, and now the strawweight champ, Emily Dakota. Can't wait to see her back after a stellar masterclassing, as you said. Cintro, popcorn ready, as you said, to top it off. Scott said, thanks, guys. This is a great podcast. Thank you, Scott. I'm so happy you tuned in and found us. I know you've been supporting me for a while. I appreciate it so much, man. And, you found us this past week once Pat came aboard. So also Pat is here. We'll get to the plugs later. But Alvin says, came back just in time. Yes, you did. Jen laughing at Flaccid. Fair enough. I had to hold myself back as well because I'm very immature. James says, did Ghost just say Flaccid? the sweating brow.
He said it a couple times.
Yes, he did. Stamina says, ugh, send that exact block of text to Michelle Watterson and Macy Barber. Air Jabbers Deluxe. Not wrong. Central says, Flaccid, that's one who describe her jab. Damn right. We got vocabulary on this show. Jimmy says, man, Ghost going into Danielle Taylor technique today. Flaccid, uneducated.
He kind of went in on
Yeah, he
Daniel
did.
Taylor.
I mean, the fictional quote was absolutely excellent.
I'm hoping that they don't watch this fight.
Yeah, that would be. Not we have not. I have nothing against you, Daniel Taylor. I think
Yeah,
you're delightful.
absolutely not.
Mr. Lee says, "Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it." I know the anticipation was very strong in that one.
Like we knew what was coming.
Yes,
It's
Rue
just
says
when it was coming.
masterclass. This must be a good fight. Well, that was the whole thing right there, Rue. That was literally the whole fight, which
Yeah, you watched.
awesome.
You watched the fight.
James says, "Is this the first time Ghost broke down an entire fight?" Yeah, yes. I mean,
No, I feel like he did one.
like
Was it
involved a full fight in one,
a full
but
fight?
like
Was it with Humsaki?
Miyu. Yeah, I guess technically you could say he did break down like the whole Miyu fight. Pretty much. That fight wasn't very long, but this one was centered around that fight. So I think it's half and half, James. Good question though. Jen says Ghost loved the arrows. I think he's saying to Ghost he loves the arrows. Yeah, very nice. Jimmy says, geez, that rear hand landed hard. James laughing, probably a flaccidity again. Or the shade thrown. Jin says OMG. Ghost is not happy with Taylor's technique. Stamina says, I'm here for all the barbed assessment. This was different. It was a little
good.
twist
Yeah,
on this
I
one.
mean this was a good one, and he definitely threw a little bit of shade in there.
Yeah, he says, and that exact move Dakota just did is what got Whaley slumped, oddly enough. James says, great job, Ghost, of showing how to build a foundation. Yeah, Jimmy says, using a tactical failure as a long-term plan. Great stuff. There's the knockout. Stamina says, oof, that's pretty as fuck. Alvin says, I'm kind of disappointed, Mr. Phantom. Oh, but what is up with the negativity? Ms. Taylor did her best. I love you, Alvin. I really, really do. James says, Ghost is trolling Taylor this week. Man, I love this one. God, I hate Taylor's style. Glad this happened, says Jen. Oh, my God. Inviting it. James says, man, Ghost. Well, Ghost not having Taylor's technique. Alvin, incredible performance by Ms. Dakota, but I'm going to give credit to Taylor. Going to give credit for trying her best. Oh, man, I love Alvin. I love him so much. Still, Ghost says, great performance by Dakota, but I had to call out the BS from Taylor's side. Just horrendous. Hey, he's being honest, you guys. All you can ask for. Stamina says there are no participation medals in this sport. Mr. Y, one need not to do their best, only to do better than their opponent. Oh, man, we got a poet up in here. Stamina, this is why we love you as well. My goodness. Rue says, I like this new spicy way of talking about opponents while never saying their name, mind you. So, ultimate shade. Nah, Mr. Lee with the emojis. Ghost says, you will like the next one I have, Drake. I am sure I will, my friend. They are all excellent. I can only imagine. And yeah, he says Miyu versus Hamasaki was the first full fight I did. So yeah, that was pretty good call by Steve remembering that and then putting that. But it wasn't completely centered around that one. But yes, that should count. That should count for sure. So my oh my, what a show it has been. What a Fan of Punch breakdown that was. Like I said, legitimate chills calling that one. So thank you for that, Ghost. I love those moments. The MMA doesn't give me that much of them anymore, but we get them on this show. So awesome stuff as always, my man. And with that, we've come to the end here, nearly hitting the 3-hour mark because that's just what we fucking do, I guess. Follow us, like, share, and subscribe at Drake Riggs _ at CK_ at the Scrap News. Don't forget, audio-only versions are now up on Anchor and Spotify, Google Podcasts as well, Breaker, a couple others. We're all over the place now, just not live, only live on YouTube and Twitter. I think I'll keep streaming to my Twitter. It seemed like it worked today. We were over 10 people consistently throughout the whole show. Still small, but we're growing by the day. Appreciate it so much. Just search WMMA Today on those platforms or the links in the description for Anchor and all that good stuff. You know where we're at. Appreciate you all so much for tuning in. As always, Ghost says he's sending over the next one after the show. He's ready. He's got these backlogged at this point. What an animal. My goodness. Steve,
I think he just loves doing them. So
I don't blame him. I love watching them. So with that in mind, Steve, anything coming yet?
No.
No. All right. Nice and simple. So yeah, so as I mentioned though, for shameless plugs or news about this channel, specifically here on the Scrap, if you're watching live with us or on YouTube after the fact, wherever it may be. Pat O'Jay is now on the Scrap, and if you remember, we did our discussion videos over on the Body Lock, carrying them over here now, so we'll be back in business. We already dropped 3 this past week, talking about the Bellator 5-round main events. We talked about Jan and Sandhagen, and then Michael Bisping not thinking Habib is the GOAT, so you can check those videos out. Discussion with Mr. Pat O'Jay, all day O'Jay on Twitter. Check him out as well. He is awesome. Love that man. We're going to be doing more of that stuff for the Scrap, so that's exciting. And then as for interviews and things that I've got coming or out already, let's just say out already, dropped that Elizabeth Rodriguez chat today. She fights on Lux 17, which is this Friday. So I guess I should have said for another fight to watch out for. That is one. She takes on Daniela Villasmel in the flyweight semifinals of their tournament. She is a great prospect at a Lobo gym. Of course, training a lot with Alexa Grasso, Irina Aldana, Diego Lopez, Alessandro Costa, Karina Rodriguez. You name it, all the great people at Lobo Gym. She is very fun to watch and a fun personality. Check that one out now, MiamiNews.com. My YouTube channel, all the PFL interviews I did recently. Obviously, Kayla Harrison, Clarissa Shields, Abigail Montes also trains with Rodriguez at Lobo Gym. Chris Wade, Bruno Capoloza, Ante Dalia. Also spoke to Julie Meza-Barba recently, who is in that atomweight tournament in one championship now. So that'll be out for SCMP this weekend, I believe. Friday or this weekend. It'll be coming soon, though, before the fight. She takes on Stan Fairtex. Fun chat with her. Very confident lady. So, and then aside from that, I will be at Bellator 268 this week. So any questions you guys may have or anything like that for fighters or whomever, let me know, and I'll try and get them done. Maybe I'll visit the gym like was that Rue suggested. Smart idea. Go check out Fight Ready if they'll let me in. Ooh, we'll see. So we'll be down in Phoenix, and then the trip after that will be the PFL Championship. So I'm getting all over, and that'll be 2 weeks from now or whatever. Birthday week. That'll be the birthday week. So my goodness, 3 years in a row, I think, that I've had a trip on my birthday week. Very exciting. Very, very lucky to be able to do that. So we'll leave it there. That was a lot of plugging. Appreciate you guys. Steve, let's send it on home now.
Yeah. Like always, we thank everybody who shows up to the chat live, hangs out with us for 3 hours. Without you guys, there is no Drake and I. It would just be a couple of guys talking about fights. It would not be nearly as long as what it is. So we think
it never used to be.
Yeah, no. So we thank you guys, and to whomever watches and keeps quiet or watches later on, we thank you as well. We just don't know who you are. But the people who we do know, Jin, Stamina, James, Chuck, Synchro Wing, Jimmy, Ghost, Joseph, Ro, Scott, Marcus, Bruce, Alvin, and if I'm missing anybody, I apologize. But until next week, stay safe, stay sane, enjoy the fights. I hope you guys enjoy them this week. Come back in a better mood, guys.
Yeah, geez, that was rough to start the show. That was the worst start.
It was. Until next week, guys.
Peace.
Bye-bye.